A very good afternoon to everybody who is joining us live on the Facebook page here on day number 7 of the Dairibord Schools Rugby Festival. We have had some fantastic rugby so far this morning. Wiseowl taking on Gateway in the first match of the day, convincingly beating Gateway 50 points to 0. Then the second game of the day was action between Alan Wilson and Ellis Robbins coming up trumps there, pipping the post 14 points to 12. And we had a thrilling encounter between Heritage and Oakdale, a new school drawing at 27 apiece, and just ended was Watershed versus Milton. Watershed taking that game. We are moments away from the next game here. Eaglesvale they're going through a rebuilding phase this year. A lot of youngsters on their side, and Coach Cyprian Mandenge is just trying to figure out the combinations that he needs to put together in order to really get back to the Eaglesvale that he had managed to build up over the last few years. And they are taking on St. John's Emerald Hill, and we hope that it will be an exciting game of rugby, but the rugby pundits and purists would probably put money on Eaglesville taking this game. St. John's Emerald Hill played against St. John's College on Thursday and didn't do all too badly at all, so it'll be quite a good clash for those of you watching this. Exciting. People are starting to pull in here to Prince Edward. If you are in and around the area, come watch the action live. For those of you who cannot make it, catch it on the Sand Sports Live Facebook page, on the Dairibord YouTube channel, or Kwese iFlix, and watch it from the comfort of your home. As you can see there, Eaglesville running onto the field, waiting to take on this battle. And they would look to play a very strong game in the forwards before shipping out wide to their backline players who have a bit of talent and a bit of pace. And if they get their hands on the ball and opportunity and space, watch out for the Eaglesville wingers. They have always been traditionally fast, and this season is pretty much the same. There comes St. John's Emerald Hill running onto the field. They've got nothing to lose here, and everything to gain. And I think the underdog story, as we have seen all week, is going to be shown on display for at least the first 25 to 30 minutes of this game. Joining me in commentary, Ruvimbo Chakureka. And welcome, Ruvimbo. This is going to be an interesting clash here between Eaglesville and St. John's Emerald Hill. Who are you putting your money on today?
I would put my money on Eaglesville. I kind of feel they should be able to have a bit of structure here. Looking at St. John's Emerald Hill, they did impress a little when they played on Thursday, but unfortunately falling by the wayside did St. John's in that St. John's derby against the Bullets there. And so you kind of feel that this time round, maybe Eaglesville should have better structure. But once again, I stand to be corrected by what will happen on the field of play.
I did mention earlier, remember, that Eaglesville are going through a little bit of a rebuilding phase, and Cyprian Mandenge has had a little bit of a head scratcher every now and then when watching this Eaglesville side. They haven't been as sharp as what we've seen in seasons gone by, and will that be a factor here today?
Oh yes, agreeable concerning that one. But just looking at Eaglesville, I kind of felt that they do have an idea of what they want to do, the processes that they want to go through. It is going to take some time, as we see right there, a knock on immediately after the restart. So St. John's Emerald here will have an opportunity to attack, but they knock on as well. However, the advantage will still remain with them. So the score is still 0-0 here as the game has just started between Eaglesville and St. John's Emerald Hill. And I can tell you for sure that as you're watching on Facebook, whichever page you are on at Sunsport Live, you could be watching on the Dairibord Schools Rugby Festival of the ball there once that sidestep had gone through, and because of that they lose the ball in contact and they're just outside their own 22, which gives St. John's Emerald Hill another opportunity to attack, which is what they are asking for, especially from the start.
Definitely, and for those of you who are interested, referee Kieran all the way from Manchester, maybe a little bit out of his comfort zone in this African heat. Hill, again, they got a good scrum here. Their 8th man, it looks like he wants to run the ball today, and maybe that is the key factor for this St. John's Emerald Hill side to go forward.
Yeah, they will be looking to try and push here, and not so sure about what's going to happen with the scrum here. In terms of who has the better drive, who has got the better pack weight, and it looks like Eaglesville here looking very strong, but once again turnover ball, and you can just see that they've got a very powerful scrum. That's how they were able to counteract against St. John's Emerald Hill. Now the ball comes out here and they will look to spread it wide. Unfortunately, going into contact, pretty unnecessary, but finally the ball offloaded. But it looks like play somewhat stopped there. Not so sure if they were wondering what was going on.
Yeah, very pedestrian and laboured there from the captain wearing number 12. He is a good runner, but he just didn't know what he was doing there. And as you can see, he's broken the line. It's a fantastic run from this Eaglesville captain, and just forcing the pass, and Eaglesville gifting St. John's the ball yet again. It was a great run up the field, but just an unforced error, and I think St. John's Emerald Hill will count their lucky stars there. Coach Taffy Mende would be proud of the start so far.
Oh yes, he would be proud of the start, and we were having a little bit of a chat around this during the week. That it's good to see some players coming through and helping with the sides. We saw with Harare High on the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday games there. Tatenda Kasorota from Old Hararians helping out Harare High. Now you've got Taffy Mende here helping St. John's Emerald Hill here. And a nice big 8-man break from St. John's Emerald Hill, but an unnecessary pass from there, but at least the ball was knocked backwards by Eaglesville here. They have another opportunity. They run onto the ball. They do have a wonderful opportunity on the near side here. They are looking to run all the way through, and that's a very powerful run from their lock number 5 there. And finally, the number 14 bundled into touch, and Eaglesville will still remain of course confident at the fact that they've had a dominant scrum. They've dominated their possession really well. They've been able to find some good running lines, and now they are within the 22 of St. John's Emerald Hill.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Coach Mende would be proud of that defensive effort just been shown by St. John's Emerald Hill. And it's a bit of a scrappy line out there, but they have managed to recover somewhat. They just need to play a little bit more structured rugby. A lot of these smaller schools, remember, they seem to play this barbarians type of rugby. Is it beneficial to their skills development, or are they just being taught when you get the ball, try and run as quick as you can down the field?
Definitely not beneficial to their skill set. Each and every rugby player, with whatever position on the field of play, need to have their specific skill set, and it has to be sharpened as much as possible. A barbarian type of rugby only works when you are both barbarian in your approach and then you can try and maybe overrun what you can see. So pretty unfortunate that these are some of the things that are happening. And sometimes what happens with these players, they don't listen to their coaches and try to go for it alone, looking for the glory, looking for the fame, but once again it doesn't help their own skill set.
No, not at all, and especially if you are If your teammate is not on the same wavelength as you, it's not going to work. But yeah, is that number 12 running, full of running again. They're just running a little bit laterally here, and Eagles will need to straighten the line. They are about 6-7 meters out from the try line on the attack, but St. John's Emerald Hill once again, great defense, holding that player up, looking to turn the ball over, and they've managed to get that player out into touch and try and set up yet another line out.
And so looking at it here, it is going to be a line out to St. John's Emerald Hill. This should be the first set piece from this kind of play from the line out that we'll see from St. John's Emerald Hill, and not so sure if they're going to win it this time round. Ball comes in, it looks like it's straight, comes out to St. John's, and the wise thing is to kick it out, and it looks like it was an okay kick just outside the 22, but here comes Eaglesville again, passing the ball down the line, but unfortunately poor handling there, and ultimately they've handed possession back to St. John's Emerald Hill without too much pressure on their own try box.
Yeah, it was a bit of an aimless kick to nowhere, and it gave ball back to Eaglesville, but Eaglesville throwing the long, wide, speculative pass, and Cyprian Mundingi will probably be tearing his hair out at that play out wide. You've got to catch the ball with two hands. This one-handed attempt is not going to get you very far forward.
And just whilst we are just talking about that, just how efficiently can you kick out of your own try box? Now, it looks like an eighth-man break, and once again, it's coming from a scrum within their own 22, and Eaglesville take advantage there of that turnover, and once again popping the ball and looking to continue in play, but once again running into traffic when they should have been running the ball down the line. It looks like the forwards are taking charge of this drive for the try box here, and Eaglesville will have a good opportunity to bundle it over if they can. And it looks like some hands were coming through the side of the ruck, and however, Eaglesville continue to press forward here, and the referee looking at it very carefully. Once again, unfortunately, handling errors at that point, trying to rush the move when they had the opportunity to score.
Yeah, definitely. This Eaglesville number, we've spoken about all week. These scrum halves on display in most of the teams have been very, very poor at controlling how this game should be flowed, and it's an example there. A rush of blood, the scrum half just making an incorrect decision, and they've gifted position back to St. John's. St. John's now just need to be calm, get the ball back to Fluff and kick it out, get it out of there, because they're just putting themselves under pressure time and time again.
And once again, you just find that this is unnecessary pressure, and most likely they'll be bundled into touch here. The ball finally thrown back, but it was a knock-on from Eaglesville, and the knock-on advantage has been showed. It will be scrummed down, and St. John's Emerald Hill ball, and they should count themselves lucky not to have conceded a try under all of the unnecessary pressure that they got themselves.
Yeah, Eaglesville will be very frustrated with themselves that they've been camped on this St. John's Emerald Hill 22 pretty much most of the game, and they've come away with no points. And St. John's Emerald Hill are very, very lucky here to have not conceded any points. And I don't know how much of it is good defense or just poor attack, remember.
Well, I guess you can just give it a little bit of a 50-50 there, because so many errors as well being made by Eaglesville here, and you just kind of feel at the end of the day, if you make so many errors when you've got an attacking opportunity, you'll find yourself in a position whereby you don't get anything from all of the possession you have. And St. John's Emerald Hill here getting a sign from Tafi Mende, who's sitting on the bench, saying go for the kick into space so that you can relieve some of the pressure, have great defensive line speed, and then maybe apply some pressure on Eaglesville. And who knows, you could turn it over. The scrum collapses here. The scrum wheeled the first time. The second time it collapsed. It will be another reset here. Now, once again, how many scrums can you have with all of these mistakes being done before the referee gives a penalty, Des?
Sometimes, unfortunately, it's just a bit of both teams losing their footing under pressure. There's an immense amount of pressure in that forward pack. So as long as the scrum's not steady and stable, you can have as many resets as possible, but it doesn't look good for the game of rugby. World Rugby trying to get more ball and play time, and St. John's shifting it wide there, and there goes their number 12 on a storming run. He's given a lovely offload, and St. John's on the attack, but his support is far too far behind him and knocking the ball on there. It looked like a good attacking piece there, and if you were the coach of the St. John side, yes, you'd be applauding that run, but you wouldn't be applauding the support play that followed.
Oh yes, the support play far too far behind. I mean, you really have to be closer to your runner, or at least in a place whereby they can give you the pass. The young man who made the run there actually had to turn all the way backwards to try and offload that ball, and it just goes to show maybe not so much in terms of pace in their own line, and that young man outrunning his own teammate. But then again, surely the moment that he broke out, that was the point that he was supposed to accelerate, and he would have been close enough to have gotten that pass. He had another outside man, and play would have continued, and who knows, maybe they would have only gotten tackled close to the 22 of Eaglesville. But once again, another missed opportunity, and we all have to just say, my oh my, when will they get it right?
Definitely. I spoke about it before you joined me. Remember that Eaglesville have traditionally always had a fast back three, and I think we saw evidence of that. If you give them the chance to run, they're going to run at you all day. And I think maybe that's why St. John's are not taking the opportunities to kick the ball out, because if you kick it into these back three hands, you're just going to have a long day at the office with them running at you all day long. Scrum unsteady there. Referee Kieran Haney not too impressed with it, and he potentially might start to be getting frustrated because these scrums have been untidy so far.
Oh yes, untidy scrums so far, and that's why I had to ask the question that maybe how long does it take before a referee gives it, but well, you gave us the answer, especially from a referee's perspective, that it can be as long as can be. But if you find, obviously, one of those moments whereby something can be penalized, then you give the penalty, don't you?
Definitely, and please don't ever say that again. My word's not gospel. So I'm talking from my own opinion, and that's where rugby is very different to any other sport. It's all about interpretation and perception. But good scrum there from Eaglesville, getting the ball out to the back line, a looping move, a wide ball out wide, and here's that number 12 I spoke about. He's got good, lovely hands.
Lovely. Can we see a try? Tried to get the ball back inside, but unfortunately it was a nothing pass. It came through as a forward pass, and once again they've lost another opportunity to score a try. But that was a wonderful sweeping move, and we're seeing a little bit of friction here between the two players, but quickly calmed down here by one of the boys from St. John's Emerald here. That's their eighth man, and the referee has pointed that that is absolutely not necessary. So it will be a scrum down. It will be a scrum down, and it will be St. John's Emerald Hill ball here. And just looking at the way that Eaglesville went about that move, that's exactly what we've been talking about. You give yourself a better opportunity of scoring a try when you run the ball through the hands, allow some your pacemen to run on the wings there, and ultimately gain the ground that you need. But anyway, it is a scrum to St. John's Emerald here. The match still remains 0. Oh, it looks like a quick turnover ball here. The flanker was very much awake, and one of the loose heads here tries to go for a big shove, but just not enough. And it looks like Eaglesville will have an opportunity to run the ball down the line here. But it looks like poor handling once again. And that looks like as if it's a penalty for St. John's Emerald Hill here. Because Eaglesville were in an offside position. And so St. John's Emerald Hill here will have an opportunity to kick it out of their own 22, kick for touch, maybe go for the set piece, and then see what they can do from there. And so pretty interesting to see that finally the boot is working here, not a tap and go. And finally, we'll see a line out coming through from St. John's Emerald Hill.
Yeah, absolutely there. And finally, some sense has prevailed. We've seen a lot of tap and goes this week, and putting the ball into touch, doing the basics right. There has been a scrappy line out so far from St. John's. Hopefully they hit their jumper. They've got exciting centre pairing that they'd want to get the ball to, and they've done the first job right. They have won their ball, but sloppy work there, 2 knock-ons, and scrum has been awarded, which have not been the most stable or steady all game long. And I don't know how much it is that Eaglesville have got a bigger forward pack, or St. John's Emerald Hill just don't have the right technique.
You kind of feel that Eaglesville have maybe the right technique. It doesn't seem like there's too much of difference in size. Maybe one of their loose-heads, who you can see has the number 1 jersey from Eaglesville. And maybe just as a reminder, Eaglesville have the maroon and white stripes on their jersey, as well as their socks, while St. John's Emerald Hill here have a plain white jersey with maroon stripes by the armpits. And a big shove from Eaglesville here. And that looks to be a free kick for St. John's Emerald Hill for early engagement in the scrum. The ball comes through here.
Free kick there for an early engagement, and I think you've been calling for it, Ravimbo. The referee's starting to get irritated with these 2 forward packs. Tap and go, they're giving it to their big burly number 8, who goes for one of those thundering runs that he has been this half. Good ball retention here from St. John's, and there those 2 centres I'm talking about, both got the headbands on. Do you think they're twins?
Yeah, I'm sure they're twins, or maybe they're just really good friends and they tend to do the same thing as well. But looking at St. John's Emerald Hill here, they would need more twins in their team to do the same thing and the right thing at the right time in order for them to make any headway. And this should be the first time that they're pushing out of their own half now, really getting into Eaglesville territory. And it's a quick tap and go here from their 8th man, who seems to be going for the ascendancy, but once again falling into a mole. But pretty lucky enough that Eaglesville hadn't gone 10 meters back here, and they'll go once again for the ascendancy. Maybe the question will be, a tap and go from here, is it really necessary? Your lineouts have been pretty good. Maybe a kick. Oh, wonderful hit there as he broke through the defensive lines. Now in the 22 of Eaglesville.
Yeah, St. John's Emerald Hill have looked a little bit better on the attacking when they have had the opportunity, but both these sides would be a little bit frustrated that they have played nearly 20 minutes of rugby and not put a single point on the board, and they've only got themselves to blame. When they've got into the opposition 22, they just haven't had that killing strike. But St. John's playing some good phase play here, ball retention, and it has been pilfered, it looks like. And Eaglesville have got the ball yet again, and they start on a thundering run there from that number 12 I've spoken about. He's got a good running style, and he generally makes yards every single time he gets down on the ball.
Yes, some really good yards made by Eaglesville here, but unfortunately losing the ball in contact. And St. John's Emerald here look to pop a pass, a wonderful tackle coming through, and he's lost the ball in contact as well. Not so sure where the advantage would go here, because there was first a knock-on from Eaglesville, and then came a knock-on there. How quickly does that advantage fade?
Well, knock-on or scrum advantages generally tend to be a little bit shorter than penalty advantages. It is a feel thing as a referee. Eaglesville knocked the ball on close to the halfway line. Look where the scrum is, remember. Maybe that answers your question, and for the viewers watching this.
Oh yes, and talking about feeling, I mean, do you have feelings that last longer? Because it doesn't look like, our referee has feelings that last too long.
You generally, like I said, on scrum advantage, you don't play it far too long. If a team makes a break up the field, they've utilised their advantage. But Eaglesville win the ball from that scrum, and they're attacking the blind side. They just need to be patient here with ball in hand. We have spoken about it. If you keep ball in hand and you keep doing the basics right, eventually the defensive line will crack. And St. John's missing a few tackles there and giving Eaglesville the opportunity to run up the field. It's good ball retention. Floating pass out wide. Drawn past, young man. He's drawn and passed, and there's that number 12. And finally, Eaglesville are over. It's taken them 25 minutes, but they have got first points on the board. It is 5-0 to Eaglesville, kick to come.
Yes, with the kick to come, but Wonderful play from Eaglesville. Finally, they're attacking the blind side, causing St. John's Emerald Hill to bunch up in defense. And finally, when they began to stretch them, passing the ball down the line, they had the opportunity. They had the wonderful overlap. 2 men on the outside, and finally, their first center getting it. And here comes the replay here. As you can see, once the ball came out of that ruck with St. John's Emerald Hill in 6s and 7s, finally, the ball came through, draw the man, pass. The pass finally came through, though the valiant efforts came from St. John's Emerald Hill. It was try time for Eaglesville. Now it looks like the kick wasn't made there, and so Eaglesville maintain their 5-0 lead against St. John's Emerald Hill here. And you kind of feel maybe now the floodgates have opened up in order for more points to be put on the board. It will be interesting to see how St. John's Emerald Hill here will will respond to what Eaglesville have done so far.
Yeah, we have discussed it in length. We had one of Zimbabwe rugby legends, great Kenny Tsimba, and kicking out of hand and off the tee hasn't been of the highest quality, and I don't know if coaches just forget about that skill or if the kids just don't have it in them to be determined enough to go and put in the extra work to practice those certain skills. But St. John's College, Emerald Hill rather, restarting the play here and just giving Eagles a little bit of time on the ball. You can see how far back their defensive line is, and if Eaglesville can get quick ball here, you would like to see them running into that space that has been left.
Well, finally the ball comes out of the ruck there, but it looks like not letting go of the man in the tackle there, not letting go of the tackle there, and a penalty against St. John's Emerald Hill. Now Eaglesville go for a quick pick and go, and it looks like they still have some strength here, and it looks like now Eaglesville have got a little bit of confidence. They got their big loose forward, a dummy run through there, but maybe a little bit too predictable against the St. John's Emerald Hill defense. And once again, it looks like entering through the side of the ruck, and these are some of the basics that young men need to understand if they don't get continuously penalized.
Definitely, and a lot of these smaller schools, you've got to give them credit for being here and trying to play with the big boys, but when things start going against them, they tend to make basic and unforced errors, and must be a tough job being a coach of a non-traditional rugby school. A lot of these kids have only started playing rugby when they're 14, 15, and they're here at Dairibord at 17, 18, only playing for a couple of years. So credit where it's due. Well done to these smaller schools, and Eaglesville would want to do the basics right here, win their line out, and try and attack and get some more points on the board.
Oh yes, you were actually talking about maybe youngsters not necessarily putting in the necessary work that's needed. It was a line out that they won. It was a little bit scrappy after that, but it looks like a good run here from Eaglesville, breaking through a couple of tackles to go through, but they have been held up in a maul here, and you kind of feel it's going to be turnover ball pretty quickly unless they can drive. But once again, you can only drive for so long, and just now you kind of feel the whistle is going to come against Emerald Hill here. They are like close to 5 meters away from the 5-yard line, and the ball finally comes out here, and it is a wonderful breaking run for Eaglesville. Tries to go for the dive there. Not so sure how successful he was. It didn't look as wonderful as it should have.
Yeah, it looks like some of these kids practice their diving more than their kicking, but maybe he didn't get the memo. Boys team training at 5. He probably missed it, but successful drop kick conversion there. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, Ravimbo, about the basics. Wait for the tee, do the thing correctly, protocol. But maybe it's the way of the nature of the beast. It is 12-0 to Eaglesville here. I know the world's moving faster and faster. Maybe these kids want to play rugby faster and faster.
Well, looking at the replay here, look at that maul, a wonderful maul by Eaglesville, and then finally picking up the ball here and getting it out to the number 12, and then finally to their second center, who saw huge pockets of space, tried to go for the dive. Not so sure how successful it was, but once again, I wouldn't blame him for not being Superman. It was a good enough dive to get the try in.
That's a 2.5 from me if I was a judge on that one. But somewhat fortuitous there. St. John's Emerald Hill looked to have tried to stop that maul. They somehow got the ball back, and fair enough, they got the points on the board. It is 12-0 to Eaglesville, and restart to come, but he's fluffed it. He's absolutely fluffed it, remember. It goes back to practicing the basic skills.
Oh, yes, and one of the other issues I wanted to discuss before finally that try came through is when you look at these two sides, you kind of find that they are, one of them is majorly academic in terms of their approach towards the school. You have other schools that have got the facilities to try and go for both academics as well as the sports, but then there are other schools that whose major mandate and primary mandate is to go for academics, and you find St. John's Emerald Hill is in that kind of category. Eaglesville has somewhat fallen by the wayside in terms of their sporting side of things, so you find that they're quickly turning into an academic side. So I guess those are some of the reasons where parents will say your primary objective is to be at school for the books and not necessarily on the field of play.
Careful, remember, fellow commentator Dirk Viljoen, not impressed with those comments of Eaglesville's prowess on the sporting field. But penalty there for unnecessary high tackle, and if they're not careful at Eaglesville, they could concede some points, and that's probably what St. John's Emerald Hill wants to do, get some points on the board before the halftime break, and actually there has been a yellow card there for that tackle.
Well, as St. John's Emerald Hill come through, they should take advantage of 14 men, but unfortunate to hold the ball in the ruck there, and once again, they are not 10 meters back, and the penalty advantage has been given, but it looks like a big drive, a big leg drive from their loose head prop. Scrum off, looking at his surroundings and pretty aware of what's going on. Finally, the ball comes out here, trying to run out of their own 22. A big kick comes through, bounces a little bit kindly for St. John's Emerald Hill, but once again, a good tackle as they come with good rushing line speed in terms of their defense.
Definitely, and referee Hani deeming that as a tackle, not a maul, and penalising the Eaglesville defence for not releasing. And here's a quick tap here from the St. John's number 21. He's made some good yards for his side. They just need to be patient here, not make any unforced errors, and if you do the simple things right, ball in hand, phases, eventually the defence opens up. And St. John's Emerald Hill a little bit guilty there of going a little bit upright into that contact zone, and potentially could be turned over here.
We had a little bit of a discussion with Dirk around there as there's turnover ball. They steal that ball, do Eaglesville here, and they've got another opportunity to keep on pushing. And wonderful technique there, putting the ball down, picking it up again, and going for good leg drive. That does give you a couple of yards whilst the defense is still trying to wake up. But Eaglesville finally get their hands on the ball, and it is a knock-on, and you feel the call will be a knock-on against Eaglesville. Scrum down. St. John's Emerald Hill ball. Now, we were talking a little bit about it with Dirk, that in terms of the crushing or hitting technique when forwards are running into contact, many of them are going in standing like a plank. If you stand up straight, you've got no momentum, you've got no capacity to then drive against your own opposition. And that's the technique we're seeing from many young men. Not so sure if they feel that their chests are better than their shoulders.
Yeah, I think it boils back down to coaching. If your coaches aren't teaching you the correct things, can't really blame the children. But you'd like to think that these rugby boys would watch some rugby on TV and pick up one of two things. They seem to know how to pick up the Fijian sidestep. They can't pick up anything else from the TV.
Oh, yes. Well, talking about picking up things from the TV, looks like Sonny Bill Williams has been able to teach very well. in terms of the chicken wing passes, but I'm really not a great fan of those. I feel pass the ball through your two hands. Your two hands have got better control than an outside of your hand pass. But after all, I guess that's why I'm not playing the Dairibord Schools Rugby Festival.
Yeah, I just think that if your support runner is not on the same wavelength as you, that's why they tend to not go to hand. Look at Sonny Bill Williams, he plays in an All Black side, and All Blacks are generally skilled, and they know that that's how he plays, so that's why it comes off so many times. But it's half-time whistle there from the referee. If you were the coaching staff here, both sides, what would your half-time message be, Ravimbo?
Well, starting off from St. John's Emerald Hill, I would say it hasn't been too bad of first half. We've been making our own mistakes. We've been able to break through the defensive lines of Eaglesville on some occasions. But I need the ball to get all the way through to our centers as well as our wings. We saw one of their breaks from their own try box there all the way through. They almost came to the halfway line with that break. So I would say let's get the ball out wide. When we are in danger, let's have an exit strategy. Let's kick it out of our own territory and give ourselves breathing space. Coming through to Eaglesville, well, at the present moment, we're 10 points to nil up against the St. John's Emerald Hill. So I kind of feel let's keep on doing the same things, but let's minimize our mistakes. We've got a stronger scrum. We've been able to drive much better. Our lineouts have been good. So let's take advantage of our forward and face play and then get it out wide once we've bunched up the defense. So for Eaglesville, let's go into more face play right now. We are totally dominating St. John's Emerald Hill in that aspect, and I'm sure we'll get more points from that.
We're going to take a quick break here for half-time, but I do agree with you there, Vimbo. There probably will be the two messages from the both teams, and stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
Well, it is a good afternoon to you and welcome back to the 2019 Dairibord Schools Rugby Festival. It is the last day. We've had 5 days of fantastic action, and Eaglesville here restarting us, leading 10 points to nil against St. John's Emerald Hill here, and straight at the restart, 12-0 rather, and straight at the restart, a knock-on from St. John's Emerald Hill deep in their own territory, close to their 22, and it looks like they didn't heed to the calls of their coaches at halftime. So Eaglesville here will have a scrum down close to the 22, and surely if you run the ball through the hands here, simple basic rugby, nothing too fancy, you should be able to get try time.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen this. We have seen this Eaglesville side dominant in the scrum, and I would expect nothing less in the second half. Hopefully they can set up some phase play. They do have two good centre runners, and they've got a pretty good fullback and a wing that know their way to the try line. So just do the basics right, draw and pass, run straight, and it should be a 5-pointer if everything comes off.
Well, the ball finally going through hands here, but unfortunately running into traffic, and once again finally popping it out to the second center, but once again running out of turf. They have knocked it backwards, so they've got another opportunity to run at St. John's Emerald Hill here. A lovely sidestep inside, looking for the gap. Maybe need to offload here, young man, and finally he does. Draws the man, he passes, trying to go for the corner flag, but unfortunately bundled into touch by St. John's Emerald Hill there. So a good passage of play, somewhat Eaglesville there, but maybe letting the ball go a little bit earlier would have given them a really good chance.
Definitely. Again, basic handling, basic skills, basic knowledge. But we have mentioned this is a young Eaglesville side. They are rebuilding. It is unfortunate that traditionally Eaglesville juniors haven't been the strongest, but they have always had a good senior team, and maybe that's an element creeping into this first team this year. But it's good running there from the Eaglesville fullback after a bit of a nothing kick from St. John's Emerald Hill. It's just given Eaglesville the impetus yet again to attack, but
once
floated
again,
pass.
a huge overlap was there outside, but once again, their first center is running back into traffic, and you don't need that. As a first center, you need to have an eye and to understand the game, where it is, where the pockets of space are. If you don't have that pocket of space, then offload the ball, pass it to your teammate, and you should be able to go through. So a penalty given there, a quick tap and go from Eaglesville there. They look to pick and go here, making some really good yards here, and finally they get the ball out wide and they bundle over for try time again, and this should be number 12's second try here for Eaglesville, and this time round they are now leading 17 points to nil against St. John's Emerald Hill. Once again, get the ball through the hands, do it quick enough, and you get the opportunity.
Definitely. Again, rushing that kick, there's no need for it, unless his mum forgot to pack the kicking tea this morning.
Well, it looks like they're a little bit more confident in terms of just going for the drop goal there, and it doesn't look like it was successful. So Eaglesville maintain their 17-point lead, and St. John's Emerald Hill here should be starting to drop their heads, you kind of feel. It's only 4 minutes into the second half, but you kind of feel that they don't have a way back here.
Definitely. It is 17 points to nil. Eaglesville still with a man down, and they're scoring points, and I think that's going to frustrate Taffy Mende. But brilliant shots of the crowd. It is starting to fill up here. Everyone's got their mouths watering for the next encounter, which will be Lomagundi versus Kyle College, two country district schools. Bit of tradition there, bit of rivalry, and there's more fantastic action. Everyone wants to watch Hillcrest beat St. John's for some reason. And the big one at the end of the day, PE versus Churchill, which is always a cracker to be involved with.
And it looked like it was a pretty good take there, but unfortunately knocking it on at the restart. And St. John's Emerald Hill here in Eaglesville territory, but unfortunately held up in the mall here, and well, it looks like they get the ball there because of the knock-on that happened a little bit earlier.
Goes back to what we were speaking about in the first half. You see where the knock-on happened, where they got held up. Does that answer your question about advantage, or is it still a little bit complicated?
It's still complicated.
Being a referee is not an easy job, and take hat off to anyone who does it. It is a thankless job. And scrum here to St. John's. They haven't been too confident in the scrum, but there's a free kick for early engagement. St. John's need to react quickly to this, because if they tap and go, they could catch Eagleswell unawares. And scrum off going on a raking run, but he's going sideways more than forwards. Good ball retention there. Patience is key here.
Well, they get it to their hooker, who makes a very good burly run through, and they're close to 5 meters away from the scrum here, rather from the try box, and again making some really good progress, rolling over. They do have men on the outside, and finally the 8th man picks it up, and it's try time. So finally the reward comes through for phase play again. There are 2 basic types of rugby you can play. You can go through phase play, then finally ship it out wide, or you can run the ball through the hands and be able to penetrate the defensive lines, and it makes your rugby simple.
Definitely, and if it was anyone who wanted to get points on the board for his team, it was that number 8. He has been probably the outstanding player of this St. John's side. The twins and the centres have also been good, but they just haven't had their hands on the ball, and it is 17 points to 5, kick to come. Hopefully the St. John's kicker can do what his opposition hasn't been able to do, and that's convert the tries. Looks like a good kick. Oh, he slotted it off the deck.
Oh, yes.
What a kick.
I remember we used to do that in primary, and all this kicking tea stuff. I mean, where did it come from? But anyway, the job is done. So this time round, Eaglesville is still leading 17 points, but this time round to 7. Finally, St. John's Emerald Hill put some points on the board, and if they can continue with this play, then they should be able to put some pressure on Eaglesville here, and they are set to restart the match for us here after a substitution has happened for Eaglesville, rather for St. John's Emerald Hill here. Looks like a big young man who's rushed onto the field of play. Not so sure if he's in a forward position, but we'll see how the action pans out as we continue. So Eaglesville here with the restart. Nice high hanging kick, and you kind of feel that Eaglesville have an opportunity here, and they do because of the knock-on from St. John's Emerald Hill, and this is just outside the 22 of St. John's Emerald Hill here.
It was a good chase there from the Eaglesville winger. Not the tallest man on the field, but determined nonetheless, and he managed to win that ball back and create the handling error by St. John's, and Eaglesville will be pretty pleased that they have got their ball back and can attack once again. There's a huge space here on the blind side. Hopefully this scrum off, like we said that he hasn't controlled the game properly, but maybe he'll go for an 8-9-14 down the blind side.
And so here it is, finally a pop pass here. But once again, a little bit too predictable in the way that they went about it, and the ball not going through the hands quick enough. But they still retain possession, do Eaglesville here. A little bit of a sidestep, but have been held up in a maul. Can they keep on pushing against St. John's Emerald Hill, who are looking a little bit tougher now in the second half and looking to make a point? But finally they go to ground, and the ball has been stolen. A high hanging kick from their 8th man. It bounces pretty favorably here for St. John's Emerald Hill. A good tackle there and good pressure from St. John's Emerald Hill in the half of Eaglesville. But finally the ball comes out here. Not so sure if that was a knock-on, but it looks like it was collected cleanly, and the ball is out. Scrappy play, and finally it is a penalty for St. John's Emerald Hill. Now they are in the ascendancy, and they're being told to quickly take the penalty, but it looks like they were a little bit asleep on the field of play there.
Yeah, definitely, but Eaglesville, bit of gamesmanship there, walking away with the ball when they knew they'd transgressed. St. John's setting up a crashing run in the middle there, and referee Hanny not impressed with the offside discipline of Eaglesville, and St. John's have got another opportunity to attack, and we've seen they know how to score a try. Hopefully they can put more points on the board, and all of a sudden it's become a 14-point swing.
Oh yes, it could, and with them on the ascendancy right now, you can see even on the screen right now that Eagles will seem to be bunching up in attack and finally waking up to the fact that they had less men on the near side here, and maybe if St. John's Emerald Hill reacted faster, they really could catch them unawares there. But nonetheless, I guess we'll see what just continues to happen on the field of play. Of a steal from Eaglesville, but again, it was illegal, not letting go of the man in the tackle there, and finally they get an opportunity to go forward. Now, not so sure what the attitude is about there between the players, but if you do have the opportunity to take a quick tap and go, looking at the far side, you've got lots of men out there, pass the ball through their hands, and you should be able to get it through. A very poor decision there. They had the opportunity to get the try, and once again losing the ball in contact, and all they have to do is blame themselves. Now a kick comes out from Eaglesville, and it looks like there is a penalty once again. Oh goodness me, there is a little bit of a fracas there between St. John's Emerald Hill and Eaglesville, and not understanding what's going on there. And they continue here. Not so sure what is going on here. I mean, but clearly that's something that we don't expect to see in the gentleman's game. Rugby is not a sport for fists. It's a sport for you to play, and we want to keep the game of rugby clean.
Definitely, and it's just unfortunate to see that. Tempers are starting to flare, but Eaglesville have always been guilty of having ill discipline, and Coach Mandenge, I definitely don't think he's taught his players that, and it's just unfortunate that that's broken out. But referee Hani just wanting to have a word with maybe his AIs to get their input and see what the outcome of this is going to be.
Well, it seems like it is going to be a penalty for Eaglesville here, but once again the consultations continue between the referee and the assistant referees to just see where the yellow card most likely is going to go. I really don't see the referee here allowing a play to continue without a yellow card being dished out.
St. John's just trying to creep into that discussion there. Referee Hani not having any of it, pushing the player away, and he's gesticulating quite violently there. So it doesn't look like this could be good for an Eaglesville player. Hopefully the right decision gets made and we get back to playing rugby. This is not a boxing match, it is a rugby game.
Oh yes, hoping no more fists will be seen in this game, but rather tries will be seen and good running rugby. That's what we expect to see. But talking about the amount of pressure that Eaglesville placed there, we were pointing to the fact that there were so many men that were on the far side that if the ball had just gone through the hands, it should have been try time, whether it was going to be in the corner flag or even running into the pockets of space that were available. Now it looks like the players that were involved in that clash there are going to be called here and are going to get an explanation as to why they're going to be penalized. And it looks like the captains also have been called to the discussion here. Now, I mean, just how difficult is it to explain to these young people, especially after something like this goes on?
Very, very difficult. Hormones are high, adrenaline's running, and it is hard to try and control this. But hopefully the referees, the team of three, have got the right decision. And credit to the referee taking his time, making sure he explains everything, gets the correct decision, and just be happy to move on with the game of rugby.
Hopefully, as we continue to stream as the years go on, we'll be able to get, a little bit of a listen here. But it looks like 2 yellow cards have been given, one to St. John's and one to Eaglesville. So 2 of the men, 2 to St. John's. Pretty unfortunate for St. John's here. Now they'll be down to 13 men on the field. So 3 yellow cards have been dished out here. 2 to St. John's Emerald Hill here. And now it looks like we've got 4 men in the sin bin here. And very unfortunate. So we have 3 young men from St. John's Emerald Hill that have been given a yellow card. as well as one from Eaglesville. So it looks like it's going to be tough playing that game out there for St. John's Emerald Hill, and this is the time to take advantage for Eaglesville.
I think a little bit unfortunate there for St. John's. There was no need to get involved in that fracas, and they've paid the price. 2 players in the sin bin, and Eaglesville on the attack. They got ball in hand. They're trying to attack up that wide outside. Looks a little bit laboured there in attack, and that has been the key difference between these two sides. When St. John's do have the ball, direct, run straight, run hard. Eaglesville get their hands on the ball, a bit laboured, kind of not knowing what to do.
And so finally the ball comes out here. They've got a huge overlap. It was a poor pass, but finally going to hand. And of course it was adjudged to be a forward pass there. Now, once again, you're talking about them being laboured, and I tend to agree with that, because surely if a team has got 3 men that are sitting outside in the sin bin, you kind of feel that this is the time for you to just run the ball through the hands. You've already got so much space to run into. Get your wingers in there, stretch the defense, and you should be able to score try after try.
Absolutely. And Eaglesville have only got themselves to blame in this half. Yes, they lead 17 points to 7, but they should be a lot further ahead on the scoreboard than that. And Cyprian Mandenge, Tuesday afternoon, probably be getting back to the basics on the drawing board and trying to drill a game plan into these boys that Eaglesville have been known for, where they have had powerful forwards, but equally silky backs. And good shots there of the crowd supporting their team, and it's good to see that people are starting to walk in here and fill up the stadium.
Oh yes, it looks like it's going to be a jam-packed place now. If you've come a little bit late, you find yourself in the sun and you'll be burning, as you can see on the screen there. But we're pretty lucky to be in the shade at the moment. Now, once again, it will be scrummed down, and St. John's Emerald Hill ball here. And that scrum didn't look like it was good. Kept on wheeling, fell to the ground, collapsed. And so the referee calling for a reset there. And we'll see what will happen as we continue. And once again, we are enjoying all of this action on Facebook. You can go at Sandsport Live Facebook page. You can also go to the Dairibord Rugby Festival page. Now, that is a free kick for early engagement for St. John's Emerald Hill here. And I think they should run the ball here. Not look for contact too much, but unfortunately trying to offload the ball at the wrong time, and that just boils down to poor decision making over and over again, and you really can't get past that.
Definitely, and that's been 3 free kicks now at scrum time against Eaglesville when it's not their ball. If I was a referee here, I'd be looking at escalating it to a penalty, because, as always, perfect little angels when it's their ball.
Or just to make sure you stay on the right side of the referee.
Yeah, definitely. Rugby players aren't as unintelligent as everyone makes them out to be. There is some brains behind them, and they know exactly how to get away with certain things. Richie McCaw being one of those players.
Oh yes, and once again another substitution comes for Eaglesville here. It looks like there are going to be 2 substitutions for Eaglesville, and it looks like just to give everybody a bit of a run here. I mean, it's the last day of the Rugby Festival. It would be very unfortunate if you were to sit on the bench for the entire festival. But once again, it is a scrum for Eaglesville here. But this time they were pushed, but looks like a good 8-man break. What a handoff there. The ball comes to their number 12, who has been really good. Offloads the ball on time. And this time round, they're going through maybe a pop-up pass from there would have helped play to continue. But they have got so many men on the outside. Almost popped out for a forward, for a knock-on there. And unfortunately, the knock-on finally comes. Almost speaking like a prophet there, Des.
Yeah, frustrating if you're an Eaglesville supporter. They have just been guilty of making far too many mistakes where they've had ball in hand. That looked like a sure 5-pointer in the corner. Maybe passed a little bit too hard, bobbled up, just killed momentum, and then they ended up knocking it on 5 minutes from the line. I would not be impressed if I was the coach of the side, especially with the amount of time they've spent so close to the St. John's Emerald Hill in goal area throughout the duration of the game.
And talking about passing, and you played as a scrummer once, and there's and the very few times that we do get to play touch rugby, I know you got a bullet pass. So how do you tell the difference from when to just use your forearm to pass the ball as a pop pass, and to when then you release a bullet pass? Is it when maybe you want to get rid of the opposition to make it quicker, or maybe when you just want to lay it off to your own teammate?
It all depends on how the defense is lined up. If they're rushing up to try and get the intercept, you want to fly it through to prevent them from reacting quick enough to intercept it, but great shots there of the crowd. And if the holes have opened up and there's someone on your inside, you float a pass there for him to run onto and run into the gap. It all boils back down, remember, to some rugby knowledge and a rugby brain. And a lot of these boys have got great skills on hand. They just need to be nurtured further going forward into their careers. Scrum here to St. John's, under pressure, nearly on their try line. Are they going to run this, or are they going to try and kick it out? And it looks like they're trying to run it out of their in-goal area yet again, and they're going backwards at the rate of knots. And guilty of some sloppy play, and if they're not lucky, they might get the ball turned over, and Eagleswell might score an easy 5-pointer. But balls come out, it's a bit of an aimless nothing kick, straight back to Eagleswell, who are on the attack once again, but it looks like he's coughed it up as well. It's just poor rugby from both sides.
And you would really wonder, why would Eaglesville be bottling under any form of pressure? You are the ones that are on attack. Take your time in terms of receiving the ball. Yes, you might get a little bit of a hit as they try to defend against you, but at the end of the day, take the ball cleanly, recycle the ball, then spread it out wide, and you should be able to get the try when you need it. But once again, looks like Eaglesville making another change, another substitution here. I'm not so sure who they'll be coming in for, but once again, it's just to give everybody a bit of a run since it's the last day of the festival.
Yeah, I think it's just these youngsters do get a little bit of a rush of blood to their head. They do buckle under some pressure sometimes, and it's great hands from that kick. Again, a nothing kick. This man has looked dangerous all day. Great handoff there, and he's under the post for 5 points. And the way they've been drop kicking this ball, hopefully it'll be another 7-pointer. That takes the lead 22 points to 5 in favor of the Eagles from Eaglesville.
Oh yes, Eaglesville. That was a really wonderful run coming through from the number 10 there. Their fly half. Wonderful insight in terms of vision to see where the gaps were. Poor defending from St. John's Emerald Hill. Lots of missed tackles, and then finally that big handoff there to allow him to break into space and put it in between the posts. This one should be an easy conversion for them and should allow them to stretch it to 24 points to 5, and you feel that the game will be done and dusted. And finally the drop kick comes through, hits the post. Absolutely criminal when you're in front of the post.
Maybe I spoke a little bit earlier. That is 22 points to 7 to Eaglesville. St. John's College, Emerald Hill rather. Just their heads are starting to drop now, remember, and you can see it. You can see it in their handling. You can see it in their decision making, and I think they're just trying to get out of this game as quick as possible.
Yeah, and talking about their body language, you can see their heads dropping there, and I'm sure it might be also to me giving them only 5 points instead of 7. So I hope that by me correcting and saying it's 22 points to 7, that they should get another try here since they're on the ascendancy at the moment. A little bit of sidestep around the blind side, and maybe he should have passed the ball again to try and gain more yardage. Pass the ball, young man. You can see the defense of Eaglesville once again is really bunched up. St. John's Emerald Hill have got a winger as far out as the near side touchline, and you feel if they pass the ball to number 18 of St. John's Emerald Hill here, they should be able to make some good yardage here. But anyway, a penalty comes through, a quick tap and go, once again running into contact, and you kind of wonder what is the sense around it when you've got men outside of you. I'm not so sure if it is to get your jersey dirty or to just walk out with some pain.
I think maybe they don't trust their handling skills and keep it tight, keep it in the forwards. The forwards have been doing the job for them all game long, and that's probably what Taffy Mende had said to them at half-time. We need to continue to play a forward game here. Quick tap and go again, giving it to that number 8 who has not given up yet. He's given 110% the whole game. He has been the outstanding player from the St. John's Emerald side. A good dummy there around the blind side of the ruck, and he's away. Caught just short. St. John's just need to show some patience here and try and get over the whitewash. And some good defensive effort there from Eaglesville, but we have spoken about it. Oh, there's a penalty there to St. John's for, looks like tackler not rolling away. They need to be a little bit quicker if they want to do this quick tap, and draw and pass and over in the corner. Great try for St. John's Emerald Hill. 22 points to 12, conversion to come. We saw he slotted the first one quite easily. Maybe he can get the second one, bit of consolation points, and make the scoreboard not look as bad as what it has been in the past.
Oh yes, and I did mention before that maybe if I corrected the score, the try would come, and it finally did. So Des, I think my word does finally work. Not so sure if they can get the conversion over. Both teams haven't been so great with the conversion, unless if it's been dead in front of the post, barring the one which hit the post. So this time round, it looks like we're going to work with the shoe and not off the deck. And really good old-fashioned rugby right there, Des. But once again, as the ball goes into shoe there, I'm just kind of enjoying the fact that it brings back a lot of memories from the time we played rugby back in the day. Ever use a shoe, Des?
When I was a lot younger, in the back garden, get the shoe out. But hopefully it doesn't really matter what you kick it off. You still got to get through the uprights in order to get the 2 points. St. John's College, Emerald Hill are in this game. I don't know how long's left, but it is 22 points to 12. And unfortunately, as that's being said, the referee has deemed that as full time. He's called it. And Eaglesville have won this game, 22 points to 12, but they weren't that convincing. And I think Cyprian Mandenge is going to have a long season ahead of him.
Oh yes, a very long season considering that the co-ed tier has got some really good rugby playing schools. So a lot of planning, a lot of practice, a lot of work has to be done before their first game of the season, which should be coming this following weekend on Saturday, where we know some big encounters are also lining up. But this is the 2019 Dairibord Schools Rugby Festival, and as you can see close to the top of your screen, that very big banner from our sponsors, our proud sponsors at Dairibord, for coming through, making this entire event possible. And it's game time again. And of course, this match ending 22-12 in favor of Eaglesville. St. John's Emerald Hill will also have a lot of work to do, but of course they're in the capable hands of Taffy Mende, a good veteran of the game. He's still playing even for Harare Sports Club right now, and we expect that he will hand down all of that knowledge to the young boys.
Absolutely, and stay tuned, don't go away. We've got an enthralling encounter that's coming up here. I mentioned earlier the country districts battle of Kyle College and Lomagundi College. It's going to be physical, it's going to be fast, it's going to be hard, and hopefully it will be a great game of rugby. Join us soon.
Yeah. Wait, I think that's it. Huh? This is supposed to be that's it.
welcome back to all of our viewers from all around the world watching this. We've got a enthralling encounter about to start here. Kyle College versus Lomagundi College is going to be a monumental battle, and I definitely think this will be a game from 1 to 15 from both sides. There's a lot of skill in this Kyle College team. They've got big forwards. They've got a number 10 who is exciting to watch, and he's got a good rugby brain on his shoulders. And Lomagundi have got a lot of heart and a lot of passion. And they've caused an upset already this week, beating St. John's College on Tuesday. Their confidence is high. They've also got exciting backline. And looking forward to this match. Joining me in commentary is Dirk Viljoen. Dirk, how are you going to call this game?
Well, I haven't seen Lomagundi play. I've seen Carl play. They beat St. George's the other day. I have heard a lot about the renaissance of Lomagundi rugby and a bit of change in the coaching department. Bob Mahari's moved from Churchill over to Lomagundi College. So no doubt he'll have some influence on them. But I think it's going to be an exciting game. You're right, Kyle College off at your peril. They were a powerhouse for many years, Lomagundi College, in the yesteryear. And hopefully what we are seeing is like I said, renaissance of Lomagundi. Kyle College have been in the top tier of rugby for a little while now. So if you're going experience-wise, you'd probably want to go Kyle College, but I think this is going to be a tough one to call. I think Lomagundi College have come here to prove a point. They've done so far, and this is their last opportunity to show that they are a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely, I think this is their chance to show the more elite schools that, hey, we're here, we want a chance at sitting at the big boy table, and if they can come out trumps here, anyone watching rugby would definitely want to see Lomagundi at the big boys table. A nice high kick-off there from Lomagundi. Unfortunately, not being able to kick at the required 10 meters, and the referee calling them back, giving Kyle College the option of having a scrum or a re-kick, and it'll be the first battle of the forwards. You can see there are a lot of big boys from both sides, and it'll be interesting to see how this game goes.
Yeah, it was almost inch perfect, a metre short. It looked like it was held up in the wind, but it will be a scrum down to Kyle College. It's interesting, Des. I haven't seen the fly half of Kyle College. I don't know where he is. The guy who was instrumental in ensuring that they got over St. George's a couple of days ago. I actually don't see him on the field.
Maybe Corey Odendahl having a word with his coaches, telling him, give him a bit of a rest. There's a long season ahead of us, so he might be on the bench. And good little run there from the scrum up, but he's gone sideways at a rate of knots, and it's excellent work there from the Lomagundi number 6, who has won a side a penalty, and will be the first opportunity to see a line out in this game. It was a good forward battle, and I think anyone who loves big, brutal rugby is going to be excited to see these two packs battle it out throughout this game.
No, it was good defence from Lomagundi, the scrum half. Two key players for Kyle College for me, their scrum half and their fly half. And the scrum half is actually playing in this game. I haven't seen the fly half. I did see him warm up a little bit earlier when I arrived on the B field. And if I'm not mistaken, he's sitting on the floor in front of his reserves bench. But he isolated himself. He's an exciting player, the scrum half of Kyle College. But he's, because of the isolation, has allowed Lomagundi, nice and patient, to now build something with the back line just short of the 22 of Kyle College. Big men support runners are there. They're now over the 22. It's good rugby so far. It's a good bundling run from the prop as he goes to ground. It's a little bit slow for Lomagundi, but they're holding on to the ball, and that's key. And then just coughing it out, and will allow Kyle College to clear from their try line.
definitely be interesting to see how they play this exit strategy, especially with their fly-out that we've spoken about. Not starting the game. He's got a big left boot on him. But doing the basics right, deep in the pocket, getting it back to their fly-off, putting it into touch, resetting. It was a good line-out first up by Lomagundi. And it looks like they've got a set game plan. Crash it up in the centres and then bring it back to the blind side and try and play the short side.
Well, considering the pressure the fly half was under from Carl College, it was a pretty good clearance. So it hasn't taken play outside their 22. There's another chance for Lomagundi College after coughing up that ball on attack. And they go to the back of the line-out. And sack is fair, says the referee. So it's play on. We're quite happy to keep pushing the blind side. And keep it amongst the forwards. Still going.
Scrum there showing some good strength not to get bundled into touch, giving them another opportunity to set up some phases, set up some pods. These forwards are looking very hungry to get their hands on the ball from Lomagundi, and they're doing the job. They're getting over the gain line. Lomagundi a couple of metres short of the Carl College try line, and if they can just remain patient and carry on playing this game, they can score some points. But it's good defence from the Carl College side. They've driven Lomagundi back a bit, but good ball retention nonetheless from Lomagundi College.
They've tried a couple of phases with the forwards, and I think it's maybe a chance to chuck it out wide and see what the back line can do. Just a bit of bobble from the lock, but he holds on. Play not really moving, sort of just inside the 22 of Carl College. The scrum half decides to go himself, a little bit isolated, and looking for the offload. It's slow ball though, so allows Carl College to get back in defence. There's a bit of an opportunity now on the near side as they go back to the forwards option. And it's been stolen by Carl College, so another chance for them to clear their lines. And the scrum half decides that he'll do it himself. Juggled by the wing, but now space on the far side. Full back, little show and go. I'd like to have seen him let that ball go actually. They're still going. Lomagundi, there's another dummy from the outside centre. Now over the 22.
Back on the front foot ball is Lomagundi, and they are playing some good structured rugby, but Carl College defence, I must admit, has been solid in the first few exchanges. They have made their hits, they've made their tackles, and in the last, I would say, 8 or 9 phases that Lomagundi have had to attack, they've gone backwards. And credits where credits is due to Carl College, but they've pilfered it again, and they've got an attack. They're running up the far side, a little bit guilty of throwing a speculative pass, and is putting his teammate under immense pressure, who does well in the end to gain some go-forward ball. Carl College now have an opportunity to spread the ball wide, but solid defence from the Lomagundi midfield there. And penalty to Carl College. If I'm not mistaken, it's the first penalty of the game.
Well, I tell you what, good work there from Carl College. What we've seen all week is when there's extensive pressure on a team, is that they give away a penalty. And Carl College were absorbing so much pressure from Lomagundi, but one thing they did exceptionally well, they didn't give away the penalty. And on this occasion, they've been rewarded for all their hard work. They've forced Lomagundi College to make a mistake, give away the penalty, and now a perfect chance for Carl College to get out of their own half.
Basics done well yet again. We have seen a few sides here guilty of not doing the basics right. Fly finding touch, got that down. Carl would like to test their line out here, win some quality ball, and maybe give it to their centres who have looked strong all week. Good runners with ball in hand, and this is an exciting backline that Carl does possess with a lot of pace on the wide. See here on the line out, going into the front of the line out there. They've done it the first job right. Win the ball from the line out. They set up a good maul. Lomagundi a little bit guilty of poor body position. I think that's why Carl have been able to march so far up the field. And finally, Carl ripped it away, attacking up the short side. Coming out to this new fly-off of Carl College, who throws a shock of a pass, but Lomagundi on the ball, capitalizing on a mistake. You're not going to catch him. And that is 5 points to Lomagundi early in the game. It is 5 points to 0. Great presence of mind to capitalize on that mistake, Turk.
Well, Carl College, we've been praising them for the basics that they've done so well. And on that occasion, the speculative pass just allowed Lomagundi College in. It was, we'll call it an intercept. But it was a woeful pass, put his backline under pressure. And I think it was the wing of Lomagundi College who was aware of the mistake. And because they were attacking Carl College, the fullback out of position, and the first points of the first half will go to Lomagundi College.
Easy conversion there for the Lomagundi number 9, Zinyama. He's an exciting player. He does control his backline well. And Lomagundi are 7 points up in the first 11 minutes of this game. Coaching staff from Lomagundi all excited, very different. Yeah, we can see the replay, a horrible pass, and there comes the pickup from the Lomagundi wing, and there was definitely no stopping him. He was going to score a 5-pointer every single time there. Deep kickoff to get us back underway. Lomagundi maintaining possession, setting up their pods, building their phases, and potentially here we might see a little bit of a clearance kick. But I think this is a Bob Mahari trait of letting these boys have a free license to run with the ball as much as possible. It's a shocking kick, given possession back to Carl College, and they on the front foot. Good step there from the number 7, and all they need is simple hands. But the last pass a little bit too far in front of the player.
Well, I think Lomagundi College got away with that because there's no way that those players were behind the kicker. Maybe the referee thought that there was enough advantage there. They get the penalty anyway. But as we've just been saying, Carl College playing a little bit of poor rugby. Lomagundi reciprocating, putting themselves under pressure. So the kick is good. It goes deep into the 22 of Lomagundi College, and now a chance for Carl, who have conceded the first 5 points and then conversion, so 7 points. Now a chance to strike back.
Their line-out looked solid off that first one that they had, and I think it'll be a bit of the same. 2-ball option, bring it back down. We saw how strong that maul was, and try and get back with a 5-pointer of their own. And it was well-worked moved off the back of that line-out. And there we have it, Carl College drawing points back. It is 7 points to 5, and as promised, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be end-to-end stuff.
Maybe Lomagundi's defence there, a bit questionable. It just looked too easy for me for Carl College. Shut away striking back. I can tell you as well, their normal fly half looks like he's about to come onto the field. He'll be wearing number 16 jersey, and I'm just wondering why he was off. He's their kicker. He does most of the work. He controls that back line, and it looks like they're about to sub him on. But yeah, good work from Carl College, striking straight back after conceding.
Not a bad strike from the kicker there, but just put it up past the right hand upright. 7 points to 5 in Lomagundi's favour, and we can see how pedestrian this Lomagundi defence really was. It was far too easy for this move to have worked, and credit to Carl College. They have put points back on the board. Lomagundi will be hoping to put up a nice high restart here, pressure on the receiver, and try to get ball back.
Probably a little bit too deep for his liking, and it allows Carl College to strike back. Now a bit of space. He doesn't have too many support runners. and Lomagundi been able to track him down. They got some numbers on the near side, goes through the hands. Someone's got to straighten that line.
We have seen sides being guilty of running far too laterally, and that's a classic example there, but some good defensive pressure from Lomagundi, quelling that attacking play from Kyle College, driving them back. They've been able to set their lines up, and they have given away the penalty for not staying on your feet. And this scrum off that we spoke about is exciting, and it's another 5-pointer here to Kyle College. It is 10 points to 7, and Lomagundi, if they're not careful here, potentially could let in a few more tries.
I think just a bit of lack of awareness from Lomagundi College. They were caught on the hop, and we had warned you about this 9-10 combination of Kyle College. The normal number 10 not on the field yet, but there he is limping with the strap on his calf on the bottom left of your screen. That was the try scorer. He's aware of all the opportunities, and there a quick tap on the penalty, and just scything his way through the defence of Lomagundi College. The kick is unsuccessful, so it means a 10 points to 7 lead for Kyle College. And this was the tap again. Not really paying attention, Lomagundi. I'm wondering how fit the boys from Chinoy are, because they weren't really paying attention on that occasion.
Definite lapse in concentration, and Coach Bob Mahari on the sideline barking orders to his chargers. He would not be impressed with that effort, and Lomagundi College just guilty of falling asleep a little. They did take the early lead, and it has been squashed within minutes. A deep restart kick here from Lomagundi, nice and high, giving time for his chasers to get there. But again, a little bit of poor tackling has allowed Kyle College to run further than what they need to do, but it's been stolen once more, and Lomagundi now have a chance to run with the ball. And good little short ball there from the two centres, but little handling error there and knocking the ball on.
Well, probably just a little bit guilty of, yes, it was a knock-on, but you can't really blame the Lomagundi player. He got ball and tackler at the same time. There might have been an opportunity to just skip that player because he had sucked in the defenders. But as it stands, it'll be a knock-on, and they've let Kyle College off the hook, have Lomagundi. There was a chance there to strike straight back.
That young fly half setting himself deep in the pocket for Kyle College. Potentially see an exit play here from Kyle. Clear your lines, relieve some pressure, move further up the field, make it harder for Lomagundi to try and score points when they get the ball back eventually. Good solid scrum there, well controlled at the back. And Scrum-off a little bit guilty of taking some time to get the ball to his fly-off, but he's been able to make a kick up the field, but straight into the Lomagundi hands. And we've seen how potent this back three has been of Lomagundi College, and the centre looks full of running, and he's got a point to prove. And again, attacking up the short side, Lomagundi College are playing some good rugby. Every time they get their hands on the ball, they do go forward generally, until Kyle College wake up to what their game plan is and start putting the big hits in. The penalty there to Kyle College for not releasing, to Lomagundi for not releasing, and off goes the Lomagundi scrum off. They are 9 to 10 meters out from the try line. It's a great pickup and run from Chang, the hooker. He's given him side some go forward ball, and it looks like they're going to keep it on the forwards here for a little bit.
Well, they were laboured trying to keep it in the forwards earlier, and credit to Kyle College's defence, but also, well, there we go, leaves the big fella, and over they go. That's better from Lomagundi, and I think that the fault that they've had is that their forwards technique on the front foot has been poor. That was better. slightly lower body position, it's very difficult to defend. When a runner runs in straight with his shoulders out and straight upright, it's a lot easier to hold him back. But on that occasion, much better from Lomagundi College. And I'd like to say well deserved, but they find themselves back in the lead.
Yeah, most definitely. We've spoken about it time and time again that these young men have been poor when they have run into attack, but on that occasion, good low body position, and number one scoring a try, probably the first try of his career, Dirk.
Well, might be an important one. It's given his team the lead, 12 points to 10, conversion to come. Oh, I thought he'd snuck that over the crossbar. Not. So 12 points to 10, Lomagundi College lead. This was that last move. Laboured again, but goes to ground, and then I think it was the prop. Picks it up, and a little bit of energy in that attack from the number one, and gets him over the try line.
Carl College here, a little bit guilty of coughing up the lead that they worked so hard to get back into, and they are putting a deep kick there, and it's well retained from Lomagundi. They've managed to run up the field and trying to set up some phases. A poor pass there over the top, and it's great defense there from Carl College. Lomagundi a little bit guilty of running sideways and running out of space. Lucky to keep that ball in play. They need to play some disciplined rugby, but it's a good kick there from the fly-off of Lomagundi. Finding some grass, finding some space, but there is no chase there, and it's a howler of a kick. He has hooked that straight into touch. He would have liked to get a bit more distance on that. Lomagundi again, got a chance to attack for his line out.
Well, they're putting some real pressure on Carl College or Lomagundi. Having said that, they've been tough nut to crack of Carl. Their defence generally has been very good. And if they keep this pressure up, there's every chance that Lomagundi College can put some more points on the board before half-time.
Both lineouts have been working really, really well, and Lomagundi College would like to win some ball here. Set it up, get the ball back to their back line, play some phases. There's a good take there in the front of the lineout. Again, Lomagundi have an opportunity here. Just play a bit of patient rugby. Keep ball in hand, possession. It's a great short ball there to centre from Lomagundi, who makes some good yardage. Ball coming out wide to the fullback, who swings it out wide to their wing, who was a little bit isolated, so he had to come back into traffic just to make sure he got the ball back. And it's a bit fractured here, Dirk, as you can see on screen from the Carl College defence. They have been a solid unit, but there are some gaps opening up.
I think he missed the opportunity of an offload on that occasion. There we go, in the corner. Try time, Lomagundi College. That's good rugby from Lomagundi. They're really putting pressure on this Carl College team. And regardless of how good your defence is, it can only hold up for so long. Relentless pressure from the Chinoy outfit, and brings about their third try.
It is very interesting to see in the front of your screen there, Carl College coach marching up the touchline with his replacements. Maybe he is thinking to himself, I probably started the wrong team here. And it might be a case of too little too late in this half, but we do know how crucial that number 16 is from from Carl College. He's the fly-off who does control the game well.
Well, I don't know if it's such an issue to start panicking yet and just ring the changes. I would be interested to know why their number one fly half didn't start. Having said that, nothing taking anything away from the fly-half that's played. He's had a decent game. But I think that a team has more belief if it is your frontline team. If he is injured, that's understandable. Kick is unsuccessful. Then that's also okay. That's him making his way onto the field. Let's have a look at that try again. And they were nice and patient, Lomagundi. It was a better build-up from them, and they seemed to be getting better and better. I thought there should have been an offload from their number 8. He held on to it. Numbers on the near side, and just allowing the flanker to get over the try line. And well-deserved from Lomagundi. Yeah, they've just got to be careful, because the minute that the bench starts ringing all the changes, then all of a sudden it puts a bad sort of impression on the players as well. They start thinking to themselves, well, if the bench is panicking, maybe we should do. There's their number 1 fly-half. He's sort of facing us. You can't see his back. He'll be wearing number 16 jersey. There he is, left footer. So no doubt he'll try and take control of this game a little bit unfair to him. And like I said, I saw him warm up earlier, so I didn't think that he was injured.
Maybe it was a bit of opportunity for the coach of Carl College to test his young fly-off substitute out. Probably not the best game to do that. However, either he's going to sink or he's going to swim, and I don't think he's had a bad game. He had that one pass, but that's about it. Lomagundi guilty of holding the ball on there, and again Carl College on the attack.
Well, there's the quick tap again, and Lomagundi a little bit short on defence. Just a couple of meters short. And the question is whether or not 12 and 13 were maybe offsides for Lomagundi College, but they've managed to hold up the ball, so they'll get away with this one.
They seem to be
They've just got to be aware. We've spoken about the number 9 from Carl College. He likes to take the quick tap, and it's almost like his team are aware of that. Lomagundi College have been caught napping a couple of times, and they've just got to be aware.
Absolutely interesting to see why the ball is sitting in the middle of the field there. But maybe a bit of gamesmanship on behalf of the Kyle College team.
Well, to be honest, if I was Lomagundi College, I wouldn't even go and fetch it. I'd say, look, guys, all it's doing is ticking the clock away for you. We lead 17 points to 10. So if you want to go and put the ball on the 22, that's totally up to you. But when you're ready, as gamesmanship, go and fetch it for us.
Referee Jacques Pano finally speaking some sense to the Kyle College boys. It is unnecessary. We don't want to see that creeping into our game. World Rugby do have a mantra, keep rugby clean, and I think that's not just the doping side of things, it's all factors of the game. But a defensive scrum here for Lomagundi College, and they have looked solid in this half so far. They've done what they needed to do. They've won the ball when it's key, and it might be a little bit of a break from the 8th man, just to give his kicker some more space to play with here. It is a bit dangerous, especially with that scrum being set up right in front of the poles, that a pass could go a little bit wayward and make an unnecessary mistake. But it's given to the centre instead, who makes some good yardage, and it's given these Lomagundi fly-off some more time and space to play with, and he hasn't found his touch here, and a little bit of miscommunication, but no harm, no foul. They've won the ball, and Lomagundi putting immense pressure on this Kyle attack. Kyle have set the ball up there, and they just want to play a bit of structure rugby. There's that fly-off we've spoken about. Intelligent left boot of his, finding some space, and Gundy doing well to recover there, but a net gain for the Kyle College team.
Yeah, it is. Good work from the fullback of Lomagundi to get the ball off the park, and it was good defence from him. The question would be, is he was a little bit out of place on the onset, and that's the difference with this number 16 for Kyle College has come onto the field, their number 1 fly half, is that he has the ability to see those kind of holes, and play was on the halfway line. He's taken it deep into the 22 of Lomagundi and straight away put them back under pressure. So it is really good having him on the field, because he just has that vision and he can control the game a little bit better.
You're right. So
attacking line-out here from Carl College. We've seen him score a try once before from this set piece. It'll probably be a 2-ball, and no doubt Lomagundi will throw a jumper in there to try and compete for the ball. But it's a good jump, good throw. Won the ball back, set up that maul, and we've seen how powerful that maul has been early on in the half. But a little bit guilty there of body position being too high, and that's stopping their own progress. But it's good pressure from Lomagundi College, but there's a penalty there from referee Jacopano to Kyle College for seemingly collapsing the maul illegally.
Interesting to see what the call is here. Might be a quick tap. It is. And so I'm happy to stick it close to the touch line. Opens up a lot of space on the near side. They'll be nice and patient, Carl. They'll realize that a score here puts them straight back into the game. Pick and go, unsuccessful. That's good defense from Lomagundi. They just don't want to be giving away penalties. I don't think he's going to get through there, to be brutally honest. Now, the back line.
There's that big burly number 16. He is a big lad, and it's a good rip there and pirouette from the Kyle College flanker. Again, setting the ball up. A couple of meters short here. Quick hands, drawn pass, and it's a try in the corner there for Kyle College. And we have spoken about this replacement fly half. It's 17 points to 10, well 15 rather. How crucial is this kick, and do you back this boy to get it over?
Well, it is a crucial kick, but it's still the first half, so there is still time. We've seen some great kicks from him, and we've seen some woeful ones as well. He missed one slap bang in the middle of the park yesterday, or 2 days ago, against St. George's. But he has the ability. He's the kind of kicker that would be able to kick this.
I think for a bit of a moral victory on Kyle's behalf, he would want to slot this kick, go into half time, 17 apiece, and that's all to play for in the second half. Taking his time, making sure he's going through his processes, and it's a fairly good strike from the boot, but he's just missed it left, and that is the end of the half. It is 17 points to 15 in favor of Lomagundi, and I don't think these coaches from both sides will be too unimpressed with how their players have played so far.
They have. That try again, I'm just not so sure of the awareness of Lomagundi College. I think that they found sometimes a little bit wanting. And we've seen one try that's been snuck through the gap because they're not paying attention. And maybe it's weary legs. I'm wondering how fit and conditioned they are. Just as they approach the huddle, there's Bob Mahari with a white hat telling them to hurry up, which makes me think that they're maybe not as fit as they should be. But nonetheless, they are holding Kyle College. They lead 17 points to 15, and at a time when Kyle College scored 2 quick tries, they took the lead, and then 2 quick tries from Lomagundi College put them straight back in the game, gave them the lead. And it's only almost on the half-time hooter that Lomagundi College have allowed Kyle to breach their defences. It's going to be a good second half, I think. Welcome back to the second half. Lomagundi College up against Carl College. 17 points to 15. Lomagundi College lead Carl. And it's been a great first half. 3 tries apiece and only the 1 conversion from Lomagundi College separating the 2 teams. And it's been end-to-end stuff. They've shown some good structure, have Lomagundi. And maybe from Carl College's position, they've caught Lomagundi on the hop a couple of times and scored some tries that Lomagundi College could have maybe stopped. But nonetheless, 17 points to 15, a couple of changes in both teams. Oh, there's the first error from Lomagundi. Will it allow Carl College to regather and straight away in the first half to try and give them the upper hand?
Basic handling error there, getting himself in the wrong position. He looked uncomfortable under that ball and quite rightfully has spilt it. Don't think the coaching staff at Lomagundi will be too happy about that, but these things do happen. They do make mistakes. But Carl College will be looking to convert this mistake into a bit of pressure, and we've seen when they play the basics and structures right, that pressure generally does turn into points because Lomagundi sometimes are caught unawares. But the ref not happy there with that scrum, and he's just calling it back for a reset there.
Well, options both sides for Carl College. I think fair to say as well, we haven't really seen too much running from both back lines. So a chance here for Carl College to really do something with their back line. A lot of Lomagundi's players been amongst the forwards. I think only 1 try was scored by the number 9. And 1 from a prop and 1 from a flank. A little bit laboured from Carl College. The defence is good from Lomagundi. Numbers on the far side for Carl. A little bit thin on defence. Narrow, the Lomagundi defenders.
A bottled opportunity there for Carl College to put it through the hands. They did have men out wide. Good defense from Lomagundi College, and immediately referee has given them a penalty, and this number 10 is going to do what he generally does well, but he's shelled it straight down the throat of Lomagundi, giving them the opportunity to clear their lines, and it's a good raking kick there from the scrum half of Lomagundi, finding some grass. Carl College, we spoke about earlier, fullback not being in the greatest position, but it's a good counter-attacking run from the wing there. The 2 wings linking up and gaining some good yardage for this Carl College side, but good counter-rucking there coming through from Lomagundi, and hopefully turning this ball over and they can have the opportunity to attack.
Well, no fullback in place for Carl College, so a chance here. That's good hands from the back line of Lomagundi, but it's a little bit laboured, and it's on behind the advantage line, and there's a turnover. Referee says holding on to the ball, and Lomagundi unable to use that opportunity.
Looks now that this flyer from Carl College is going to take the 3 points. You would have thought that he would have taken the slightly easy option, but instead of shelling a kick into touch like he did. And we have spoken about him. He is Mr. Inconsistency sometimes with the boot.
Well, he missed touch, and it was a terrible kick. He should be a little bit better off the ground. It's going to be a big kick. He's on the 10-yard line of Lomagundi College. I think he'll have the distance. It's a good kick. He had more than enough distance on it. He could have been back probably another 10 yards. So it gives Carl College a 1-point lead, 18 points to 17.
18 points to 17 is Carl College, and Lomagundi will be kicking themselves a little bit there. They had the opportunity to clear their lines. Instead, they decided to try and run it across the field, and as much as the scrummer found grass, he didn't find touch, and it did give Carl College the opportunity to attack, and they did, and ultimately gave the penalty away. And here comes the Carl College yet again. Good kick there. Fullback horribly out of position, but setting off this number 9 from Lomagundi College, and the centre has looked full of running all afternoon, giving a good pass there. Good line run from the Lomagundi College player, but penalty there, a basic error. When you get tackled, you've got to release the ball.
Oh, those are silly little mistakes from Lomagundi. Now, a chance for Carl. There's that speculative pass again, and it's fallen in the hands of Lomagundi. So they've been let off the hook. Referee's calling that he's taken it into contact, but I'm not so sure if that's the best call from the referee. He hadn't released the player. It's a scrum down called from the ref.
A little bit of basic rugby knowledge from the Carl College defence. They managed to hold him up enough in the referee's mind to turn it into a maul. They've been able to get possession back, but this scrum has been good. Both sets of forwards looking to assert their dominance, and hopefully Carl College can win their ball and try and get themselves out of their half. Lomagundi have looked good on defence, and but this fly-off who's come on for Carl College has just changed the pace of the game slightly, Dirk, and you can see a different sort of attack while he's at the steering wheel. Penalty there for driving up, and Lomagundi College a little bit caught unawares again. Quick tap from Kyle, and they are just inside the Lomagundi half. Good running onto the ball there from the centre of Carl College, and they are attacking up the far side. We see this Carl College centre. He is a good runner, ball in hand, but a little bit isolated, and Lomagundi will be trying to turn this ball over if they can, but it's been well recovered from Carl College, and they are on the attack again. A long ball out to this near side. Good hands there from the Carl College wing, but he has been bundled into touch, and Lomagundi will be happy with that defensive effort. They'll find themselves a little bit unlucky with giving a couple of penalties away and giving the ball away from a maul. But they've got to do what they can do here to win the ball back, clear their lines, get out of their half, and try and keep this Carl College side at bay going forward into this half. Referee there just trying to get a substitution on. Bit of stop and play. There has been an injury to the Lomagundi prop, but replacement has come on, taking their time here to set up the line out, and these players are. Oh, that's awesome. Lomagundi College hooker trying to get this ball in. They are not happy with where he's standing. It's a shocking throw, but he's lucky to get away with it. It hasn't been deemed as a not in straight, and they've given it out to this wing who scored the first try of the game. And Lomagundi attacking up the far side, but throwing a speculative pass. A little bit lucky that came off a Carl College player, and they get the line out again.
Well, if it's come off a Carl College player, it should be a scrum down to Lomagundi for forward. Anyway, it's going to be a line out Here go Lomagundi College is not needed out the back. They need to keep it simple, do Lomagundi. Happy to use the big rumbling forwards again to get over the advantage line. Ball now slow, and there's a penalty to Lomagundi. Not so sure if they were 10. Play on, says the ref. Good pop. Now the number 8 finds his centre. Still going Lomagundi over the 22. Still going. There's the little pass. Finds his wing. The referee says held up. Held up. Well, well, well. Penalty for talking back to the referee.
Cardinal error there from the young schoolboys. Can't talk to the referee like that, and it's just an unnecessary penalty. But Kyle College on the run, and it's a good covering tackle there. He is isolated, and penalty has gone the Lomagundi way. But this is end-to-end stuff here, as players just want to showcase their skills, and a little unnecessary there of how's your mother going on, pushing and shoving. Lomagundi will feel a little bit disheartened that that try wasn't awarded. I'm interested to see if he had got that ball down, but we move on. We get up the field. He's just having a chat there as a referee to the two captains to try and calm the tempers down. And in all fairness, I think that player was a little bit guilty of double movement anyway.
Yeah, he might have been. I guess that then that was even a worse call from the ref, because I can't see how he was held up. There was no one there. If he had blown him for a double movement, then I think the reaction would have been a little bit different, not only from the players of Lomagundi, not only the coaching staff of Lomagundi, but the whole crowd as well.
We did promise you an exciting encounter here. We definitely have supporters of both schools trying to egg their charges on. It is a penalty to Lomagundi College for holding on. 18 points to 17. Kyle College lead this by 1 point. That's another basic error there, Dirk. We've seen it from both flyers now, missing their touch from a penalty, and it's just inexcusable to do that.
Well, maybe not a bad result. They've been able to hold him up. So on the 22 of Kyle College, there's still an opportunity here for Lomagundi. Can they turn this over? That's really good counter ruck. And the referee's going to blow them for going over the top. They've just got to be careful that they don't get carried away here, Lomagundi. They're excited. They've got an opportunity here, and maybe fair to say that they've been on the wrong end of a couple of decisions. Backwards, says the ref. So still going.
That's good hands there from the Lomagundi backline players, but it's a little bit of speculation, but it's a great pass out wide, and there's that prop forward who has gone forward all day, and he meets this big number 8. Great hands from Lomagundi College. They're tucking up the far side and defeating a couple of would-be tacklers and finally scoring the points that Lomagundi wanted. They're taking the lead, 22 points to 18, right under the sticks. There will be a kick here. They want to try and get it over, and all of a sudden, Lomagundi College are starting to feel that they are taking control of this game again.
Well, that was good play from Lomagundi. They ran that all the way from their own 10-yard line. It was good hands. And then finally, I think it was their number 8 who just straightened the line, and you weren't going to stop him that close. So back in the lead now, Lomagundi, 22 points to 18, with a conversion to come. And I'm not so sure about the man with the bib on, what he's doing on the field.
I think he's the kicking T-boy, and in all that excitement of taking the lead back, they forgot that they had to put the ball over the post, get an extra 2 points, and he has slotted it. It is 24 points to 18. If my maths is correct, it's a 6-point lead. Carl College will have to score a converted try to win this game, and it was a great pass there out the back door from the scrum under immense pressure. Finding some space up the middle was the prop who passed it on. And number 8 doing his job well there, and a little slight drawing pass, bit of a poor tackle that let that player get through and scoring the points that Lomagundi were searching for.
Well, it's actually the lock forward who scored that try. They just need to keep their wits about them. And a simple error, you've scored a try, no one wants to take the conversion. Those 2 extra points are critical. And maybe just little areas where all schools can learn a little bit from. And the referee is going to give a scrum down. Again, Lomagundi College maybe they're caught a little bit unawares. And a chance now for Carl College to put some points on the board. They've got over the 22 of Lomagundi College. And a simple little error from the men of Chinoy have given Carl College another chance.
Take nothing away from that kick chase. It was excellent. Kick was high enough. Got the chases there, and it was a big hit there from one of the Carl College forwards, causing the error, giving possession back. And we have seen from these positions throughout this game that Carl College do look to try and score points at every opportunity. And scrum right in the middle of the field. They've got space on both sides. Do they try and attack on the blind side, or do they bring it out to their centres who have made a lot of yards? But he's running backwards there, was the 8th man, and good little grubber kick through there. And I think the Lomagundi player got there first. Referee has adjudicated a 22-metre dropout.
Well, that would have been an interesting decision if he gave a try. It has been called as a 22. But again, Lomagundi College slow. Why are they not running out and kicking this back? Carl College aren't even paying attention. All they're doing is allowing Carl College to get back in defence. They might be a little bit tired. Are they wanting to maybe just eat up a little bit of time? It's all just a little bit too slow for me from Lomagundi College. They could have picked that up, run out, and got their wings to chase that. They go deep anyway. They take play to the halfway line. Now counter-attack from Carl.
Yeah, it was a bit of a wicked bounce there, but good recovery. And it's got Carl College on the front foot. They like to run the ball. They've got a lot of numbers on the right-hand side. It needs to go through the hands. There we go. Quick hands. Good defense. Little inside-outside. Inside ball, and he's shelled it, unfortunately. But it's a knock on both ways. And Lomagundi can count their lucky stars there that they didn't concede any points there.
The drift defence a little bit slow from Lomagundi, and I'm pretty sure that Lomagundi College aren't as conditioned as they should be. They look unfit. They're a little bit slow to the breakdowns. They look okay when they're on attack, but the game's about attack and defence.
Dirk, you're a boarding school boy. That is an excuse for a school like Lomagundi, who are boarders, to not be that conditioned.
Well, I do. I agree with you that there's probably no excuse for not being conditioned at this age. I guess, though, that remember that this tournament is still in the holidays. So what if the coaching staff had the team to do a boarding school? Sometimes also a little bit tougher because we all go back home. We're not based in the city. So yeah, I'm not so sure. It was a good scrum from Kyle. They finally get it out. Oh, they've given it to Carl College. He has a chance for the men from Masvingo. They go out wide and they get over for the try. That's just really poor rugby from Lomagundi College.
Yeah, poor decision making there. Off screen, coaches Bob Mahari and Johan Divanaga shaking their head in dismay. And one's got to ask what was going through the mind of that Lomagundi backline to try and run the ball there. Nevertheless, Kyle College still had a lot to do. They got the ball through the hands and they scored the try that they needed. It takes us to 23 points to 24. Kick to come. I think there's about 10 minutes left in this game. Could that be the turning point in the outcome of who the winner is of this game? That's a good strike off the boot there, and he slotted it. Kyle College in the lead, 25 points to 24. It's another 1 point lead that Kyle College have. But Lomagundi College have only got themselves to blame for throwing the lead away that they deservedly got back. And we see this poor play here from Lomagundi College, trying to run it out. Here goes the mistake. One tackle, offload, another offload, and easy as you like. Centre takes the 5 points there for Kyle College.
Yeah, they potentially will rue this decision to not kick the ball, and it's allowed Kyle College back in this game. It's a better hanging kick from Lomagundi. And penalty for obstruction. So posts have been called by Lomagundi.
That was just a basic mistaking, and we've seen it from both sides. They score points, position kicks it back to them, make a mistake, give the ball back. And Lomagundi will try and capitalize on the mistake, take the 3 points on offer, get a 2 point lead if it goes through, and put the pressure back on Kyle College to make the next move.
Looks like a new kicker, or is that number 20, I think. So big kick here to gain the lead back. Not so sure what's left on the clock. It's a great kick. So as they concede, Lomagundi College back in the lead. Can they hold on? They need to make sure that they're clinical on the kickoffs. That last try, even though it was a lot of moves back, was caused from a simple knock-on on the kickoff. They need to make sure that they just do the basics correctly.
A high-hanging kick from this Kyle College half, and again, they haven't done what they need to do. They haven't secured the ball. Kyle College back on the front foot. And it's just been a tale of back and forth, ebb and flow between the two sides. And Kyle College on the attack once again up the far side flank, and making some good yards, good leg drive there from the young man. And Kyle College just slowing play down a little bit, giving it to the big men to run in the middle. And it's great handling skills there, but as I say that, he knocks it on and giving the ball back to Lomagundi. And we've spoken about this. We've spoken about how critical it is for Lomagundi to make the right decision here. Last time they were in a similar position, they made a bad mistake and Kyle College scored a try. Hopefully they've learned from that mistake.
Well, I don't think there's a heck of a long time left on this clock. It gives them options as well to kick it. 7 minutes maybe, so there is time. Because of the scrum being in the middle of the field, there are options both sides. The fullback will have to line himself up in the middle, so it allows the fly half or whoever's going to kick for Lomagundi College to pick which side he needs to kick the ball to. And they decide to take it off the back with their number 8. They do like keeping it amongst the forwards, and that's okay. But there's a ball lost. It's going to be a free kick, or rather a penalty to Lomagundi.
It wasn't a bad option to try and run it off the back of the scrum there. They were going backwards on a bit of pressure. Good rugby brains to get to the big man, run it up a little bit, give your fly off a little bit more time to set himself. And they've won the penalty there. Kyle College guilty of putting their hands on the ruck, and you can't do that in this game.
I think fair to say that both teams have had some great decision making. On the same sentence, they've made some bad decisions as well. On that occasion, that was a good one. One of their strengths, Lomagundi, is keeping it amongst the forwards, but they conceded a very poor try by some bad decisions.
And here's the youngster who took the lead back for Lomagundi with ball in hand. He's put a fairly decent kick, but he just hasn't found touch. Maybe a bit guilty of trying to go for too much distance. But here's the Carl College centre who has looked good with ball in hand all afternoon. Running it back, taking play just outside Lomagundi's 22. And looks like Carl College now are going to try and play some pod phases. But Lomagundi doing all they can to try and win the ball back. Getting called off by the referee. But a good counter ruck there, and a penalty for diving over. And the scrum half has looked to capitalise at every opportunity he's gotten. Every time there's a penalty, quick tap, he's running forward. And there's advantage again for Carl College for a high tackle there. Can they make this advantage count? Can they score points? Or will Lomagundi hold out and they have to come back and maybe take the 3 points?
Well, it'll need a monumental effort here from Lomagundi College to keep them out. And it looks like they might have held him up. That's a good counter shove from the Chinoy outfit. They're happy to keep it amongst their forwards. Carl, now a little bit of space. They got numbers on the far side. Just a couple of meters short. Change of direction.
Yeah, it is nail-biting stuff here, and Lomagundi are doing well to defend this, but this tack is relentless from Carl College. There's the big man, and he is over for the much-needed try. Well-worked move. 30 points to 27 here on Jubilee Field. It has been an exciting game of rugby, and Carl College still got a kick to come. They get this over. Takes the lead out to 32 points. It's a 5-point lead. Hardly too much time left, and I think Lomagundi got a lot to do if this kick goes over.
Well, again, guilty of bad decision making. The penalty that they got given, tried to chew off a little bit too much on the kick. It didn't find touch. It would have been a line out to Lomagundi College. It allowed Carl to run back at them. And now all of a sudden they chase the game again with probably not too much time left on the clock.
Looks like in back play the Carl College players are signaling that the refs told them there's about 2 minutes to go. This is eating up some of that 2 minutes, and if he gets this kick over, he's sliced it unfortunately. We have mentioned how inconsistent he is. He can kick really well and he can also kick really poorly. It is 30 points to 27 yards, 3 points in it, a minute and a half to go. Lomagundi will try to get this ball as high as possible, get their chasers onto it and try and turn the ball over again, because we've seen that every single time one team scores points, they cough the ball up in the very next play. Lomagundi centre here, getting the play underway. It's a nice high kick. He's got some time on there, and it's a good win back from the Lomagundi hooker, but unfortunately they couldn't secure possession. Sorry, my correction. They have got possession back again and running this ball down the line, but they are guilty of running a little bit too laterally and causing a mistake there. Lomagundi a little bit unfortunate not to get hand to ball, but it was a big hit from that Carl College wing, and maybe that was the sort of last nail in the coffin for Lomagundi.
It's been interesting to see what the fly half of Carl College does here. I got a funny feeling he's going to put boot to ball, and it might mean that he'll give possession back to Lomagundi, which will give them that one final chance.
It is nail-biting stuff here. We have got both sets of coaches on their feet, on the edge of their technical zones. I don't think there's too much time left here, and this possibly could be one of the last plays of the game. Lomagundi will want to put a big shove in here, but Carl College standing firm, winning their ball, doing the job right first all, and Ball's coming out to the Carl College back line. Bit of a switch there with this fly from the centre, and they've held this Carl College player up, guilty of not having the greatest body position into that contact, and inevitably he's going to blow the whistle here to turn the ball over. And one would say that maybe this is possibly the last roll of the dice for Lomagundi College.
I don't know how much confidence I've got with the back line of Lomagundi College. They've been very lateral and take nothing away from their forwards. They've looked good. And again, they're going to use that option, I think. There goes the 8th man. Goes himself. And support runners are there, but just spilt. So it will be a knock-on to Carl College. It's been a good game. I'll feel maybe a little robbed, Lomagundi. It was a great effort.
Yeah, it was a good game of rugby, intense stuff, back to back, blow for blow. And we spoke about it at the beginning of the game. Lomagundi trying to put their hand up, sit at the big boy table. I definitely think a performance like this, they probably should get an invitation in the near future.
Well, I think it was a great spirited performance. Like we said at the beginning of the game, Lomagundi College have sort of fallen into oblivion of schoolboy rugby. They had lost their position at the top table, but I tell you what, today they've shown that maybe they should be there. They've pushed Carl College all the way to the end. I may be unfair to say that they should have won it, but there might have been a couple of decisions from the referee that maybe didn't go their way. And they'll partly be to blame themselves. They made one critical error on their own try line, try to run the ball out, terrible pass, and allowed Carl College back into the game. But in the end, they'll take the victory, Carl College, 30 points to 27. And another fantastic game here at the Rugby Week at Prince Edward.
Great job, thanks a lot.
A very warm welcome to anyone who's joining us on Facebook, on Kwese iFlix, or on YouTube. We are here, second last match of the day. It is a big encounter here. St. John's College Rams playing the Leopards from Hillcrest. St. John's have got a lot to prove. There's been talk about their performance against Lomagundi, and a lot of people are wanting to watch an upset here, and Hillcrest have been on good form. We see a little war cry there from Hillcrest, and St. John's not showing them the greatest amount of respect for that little war cry, but it is going to be a cracking encounter here between the two schools, and as mentioned, St. John's have got a lot to prove, especially with all the talk around the town about their performance this week, and Hillcrest have got a lot to prove. They are a co-ed school. They feel that they don't have as many boys to choose from, but it's a howler of a restart kick there from the St. John's fly half, and it's given possession straight to Hillcrest.
Yeah, not a very good kick from St. John's, so it'll be a scrum down in the middle of the field. Hillcrest ball.
St. John's have been a traditionally strong forward school, and they've put a lot of pressure there on Hillcrest, but it's a good pickup from the number 8 who throws a specky out the back door that has worked, and Hillcrest look like they've got their first opportunity to attack in this game.
It's good defence from St. John's, but still going forward Hillcrest as they approach the 22 of St. John's. The big forward. It's a good tackle from St. John's College. It's a nice little step, and can he go all the way? Still going, and he'll get over for the first try, as St. John's College will concede in the corner. They've just been saying what great defence they've got, and allowing Hillcrest to open them up wide and put the first points on the board very early on in the first half.
Lapse in concentration there from the young fly half Ockett Swan of St. John's, opening up the wall of defence, and the 8th man from Hillcrest needed no second invitation to take that gap, and he made a count. He put pressure on the defence, good footwork, and a well-deserved 5-pointer, and Hillcrest take the early lead here in this encounter. And Dirk, how much of this do you think these St. John's boys have heard, that everyone wants to see them get beaten by a school like Hillcrest?
Well, I think the money's always on the underdog. Everyone wants to see the underdog do well, and that's the one thing about schoolboy rugby. There's a lot of talk about the top-tier teams and the sort of not-so-top-tier teams, and an opportunity for the lesser teams to showcase their skill. There's that run. He's got a number 8 on his jersey. I'm not so sure if he is the fullback, though, or rather the 8th man. And that's bad defence from St. John's College. It's a good hanging kick and well won back by the St. John's Rams. So a chance now for them to have a look at their back line. Nice. Good run by the prop forward. It's now through the hands for St. John's. Fullback comes into play, Tyler Spagnolio. And now over the 22, and there's a penalty advantage for St. John's. There's one thing that Hillcrest will have to be careful is their discipline, and probably a fault of a lot of the schools. Offside, says the referee. And the question now is what St. John's will decide to do. They'll probably kick it into the corner.
We have seen how dominant the forward pack of St. John's is, and put the ball into touch there, Alvira level, and they are about 12 meters out from the try line. Win the ball, bring it down, set up the maul, and hopefully try and get some points back on the board and draw level here will St. John's. They hooker Dumi Sakala with the ball, waiting to feed this line out. See how eager Hillcrest ready to try to compete, but they never got the player up, and it's a good line out win there from St. John's in the middle of the line out. They've set up that maul. It's well set, well structured. They're marching forward, only a couple meters out, and the referee is playing advantage to them. St. John's just needs to play with a bit of patience. So they swing it out wide to Swan, who throws a wide pass out to Diwa Kadzinya Nike, but referees come back for penalty advantage, and they got two options there. They got a penalty in front of the poles for a dangerous tackle, or 5 meters out for a collapsed maul. And if you were the captain, Dirk, which penalty would you want to be taking?
I would take the one next to the touchline and kick it into touch again. Set up that rolling maul. They were all over Hillcrest. It looks like they're going to kick for posts. But, yeah, I might have set that line out again. You know, really put Hillcrest under pressure. You've done everything right for so long. And I would have kicked it into the corner and set another line out. So the kick is successful. It's 3 points to St. John's, and they trail Hillcrest 5 points to 3.
Yeah, 5 points to 3, and Hillcrest looking to get this game back underway. It's a nice hanging kick and pressure on Hasim from St. John's, and Hillcrest have got the ball back again, and they swinging the ball out wide. A good footwork there from the Hillcrest number 10, throwing a ball out the back door there, and again, well won. They're setting up some phases here, some structure, getting the ball down the line, spreading it as much as they possibly can, and it's a good leg drive there from one of the big men of Hillcrest, but a bit of a poor pass, and it's let St. John's put some more defensive pressure on the side.
Well, they do look really good with go-forward ball, do Hillcrest, but the defence holding out for St. John's. Not able to hold him up on that occasion. They did try. They come the near side. And there's the little knock-on. So that's good defence from St. John's. Turnover ball and a chance for them to clear their lines after absorbing all that pressure.
Yeah, it was good defence there from St. John's College. They have won the ball back again, and I mean, we've spoken about it with a number of schools that they are young. Some of them are young sides, some of them got new coaches, so it all depends on how the coaching staff wants to play this game of rugby with their school. Number 13 there, Carl Kawadza, feeding the scrum, and it's a solid win. Break off the back there from Masimba Ndoro, who goes forward but throws a bit of a nothing pass there, and it's just put his side under pressure unnecessarily.
A bit scrappy from St. John's, but they managed to hold on to the ball. That's good clean out as well. So an opportunity for them to clear their lines. It's not a great kick from the fly half. Straight up the middle from Hillcrest. They finally managed to hold on to St. John's. We've got a couple of numbers here on the near side. Now over the 22 go Hillcrest, but the steal is good from St. John's. Just got to be careful there, fly half. His last kick wasn't very good. That one's not very good either.
This fullback from Hillcrest College is looks like full of running. He's an exciting runner with ball in hand, and it looks like if you kick the ball to him, he's going to run it back at you, all day and will definitely make yards with every single run. But penalty there for not rolling away. And it'll be interesting to see what the Hillcrest brain trust do here. Looks like they've given it to the big man to put it into touch. And
Not very often that you see that. Prop forward, kicking for touch. One thing that St. John's need to be careful on, and it might be something they need to work on for the season, 2 exit strategies from their fly half have been really poor. And all it's done is kick the ball back to the opposition and allowed them to attack again. So it's something that they need to work on. They need to find a better exit strategy to ensure that they alleviate the pressure. They've got to be able to find the touch.
A good line-out win there from Hillcrest, but referee Pisani free kicking them, guilty of closing the gap at the line-out. A little bit harsh there, I would say. You don't want to purposely close the gap on your own ball.
It's the 2019 edition of the Dairibord Schools Rugby Festival, and it's been a great week of rugby, culminating in our penultimate game here, St. John's versus Hillcrest. And to follow will be the big one, the one that everyone watches, which is going to be PE versus Churchill. And the referee's pulled him all the way back. He's tapped it and then kicked it straight into touch. So bad appreciation of the rules from St. John's has once again allowed Hillcrest off the hook from a bad line-out, but just put themselves under pressure.
Interesting tactic there from Hillcrest. The whole unit walking into the line out there, but they have won the ball and they march forward. We saw how powerful St. John's were, and Hillcrest giving a bit of a taste of their medicine, but St. John's done some great work to steal the ball there and turn it over.
Now, looking to run it. He needs to look for the pass, and there's a knock-on. That's not good from St. John's. They had an opportunity there, and they had numbers on the far side, but another handling error will give Hillcrest yet another chance.
Saw in the first scrum of the day that St. John's did get the upper hand a little bit. They have scrummed slightly better. They've always been a well-drilled side in this department, and Hillcrest just inside St. John's 22 got an opportunity to set up a platform in order to spark this backline, and we have seen how dangerous the number 13 Ablout is. He's a dangerous runner, and if they get the ball into his hands, you never know what magic he could potentially work. And ball comes out wide, and there's that man I've just been speaking about. He is quite a dangerous runner. And good defense there for St. John's, but well retained. They've retained possession there, and referee Pisani just penalising Hillcrest. They are a little bit guilty of sealing the ball. It's a cardinal error. You've got the ball. It is yours. Why go off your feet? And what it must be like to be a coach in this environment.
I think part of it is a little bit of trying to get your team to just calm themselves down. And one example from Hillcrest is their big number 5. He's got a lot of energy, he gets excited, and sometimes the excitement is what overcomes you in a decision-making position. And we've seen it with a couple of schools where they've just got to be careful on that decision-making.
It's a good line-out steal there from Charuba, and Hillcrest have got the ball yet again, but it's a bit of a poor pass there, but well recovered, and there's that man, full of running, very dangerous. Maybe you need to work on your passing, son. You've got a good sidestep and a good running style, but that pass is a bit of a shocker. However, Hillcrest back on the front foot, and they got the ball. There's a huge handoff there, and Hillcrest definitely looked the more dominant side when they got ball in hand, Dirk.
Yeah, they're very exciting on the front foot. There's the intercept. So good steal from St. John's College. And they got numbers on the near side. Poor pass again. But they regroup through their centre, Kawadza. And that should be, if anything, maybe a card. We'll see what the referee says.
Again, referee Pisani just calming play down there, giving the captain an option of penalty in the middle of the field, or penalty here for an intentional knockdown. Sense has somewhat prevailed. They've taken the penalty closer to the touchline, and hopefully Lovell can put a good kick into touch and let this forward pack show everyone what they have got to offer. Last time they were in this position, they won the line out cleanly, pulled it down, and went marching forward.
And also they had their penalty advantage from the last line out, and hence why I was of the opinion that they shouldn't have kicked the penalty on the last one.
There's that energy you spoke about, Dirk, from that number 5, having a bit of a shout and scream and putting Dumi Sakala off, and it's worked. He's put him off, but again, that's been 2 poor throws from Sakala, but he has made up for it in the tackle afterwards. But referee Pisani there, she must have seen a different picture to what we're seeing. Called a knock on in the line out, and Hillcrest have got an opportunity now just outside their 22 to play with the ball, and we've seen how exciting this back line is. I don't potentially see a kick from the fly-off. I think it's going to go down the line and see how far they can run.
Well, St. John's just need to be aware of that line out. It's a very simple jump from Hillcrest. There's one jumper. Throw it over his head, surely. And maybe the hooker just needs to be reminded that all your lineouts will have to go to the back of the lineout, and wherever the big man stands, throw it away from him. But an opportunity lost for St. John's, and a chance again for Hillcrest back line to run with the ball. They're full of running. That's a good tackle from St. John's. It takes play to their own 10-yard line. And, it's a good rush defense from St. John's College.
Yeah, but referee Pisani playing advantage, deeming the player not rolling away, and unfortunately one of the players not keeping their mouth shut, and she's marched them up the field, quite rightly so, and hopefully St. John's will learn their lesson. But Hillcrest on the run once again, and through the hands, lively wing on the outside, but ball doesn't seem to go to hand, but they've recovered well. They're inside St. John's 22-meter line, and a good counter ruck there from St. John's. They just need to try and get out of there and not give the penalty away, but they have, and referee Pisani deeming a side entry, unfortunately, and just giving away possession and giving away unnecessary penalties has probably been what St. John's have been guilty of this half.
Well, there's an opportunity now for Hillcrest to have their own go at the line.
We've seen how both these forward packs have tried to win the line out and rumble it forward. They've both got good go forward ball when they have done that. We have spoken about the fact that Hillcrest only have one jumper. St. John's need to try and get a jumper in front of him and try and win this ball back. It looks like they put their big man in there, and it's a good line out win in the middle, and being able to set them all up. But good strength shown there from the St. John's pack, trying to hold the ball, and hopefully they can turn this ball over. But again, Hillcrest retain the ball, good rip, good skills, and getting the ball back, trying to set the ball wide. St. John's may be a little bit guilty of an infringement, but Hillcrest march on once again, and again, lock forward of St. John's coming through and picking up the scrum off. Dirk, how much of that do you think is the scrum off just being too slow on the ball?
Yeah, I think so. He has been put under pressure. This time they do get over the try line. And St. John's defence was holding up nicely up until that minute. And the referee just having a chat to the captain of St. John's College.
I don't think the captain is too impressed with what he's been told, but unfortunately the side is giving away far too many penalties, and it was undoubtedly going to come sometime where the ref was going to go and have a chat and tell the captain to go and calm the boys down. But the Leopards of Hillcrest have stormed out to 10 points, and with the kick to come, it could take this game to 12 points to 3. And St. John's haven't really looked like scoring this game, and he slotted the kick through the uprights. It's 12 points to 3. Going back to what I was saying, Hillcrest look the more dominant side. Every time they get their hands on the ball, it looks like they are going to score a try, and St. John's might get off the tee. But here's the replay again. Penalty. Quick tap from the scrum off, and well played. Short ball to one of the big men who, good body position, and over he goes.
It's a good hanging kick from St. John's College, but Hillcrest straight away on the front foot. A chance again for them to run it down the line. I got some really exciting runners. Every now and again just been able to break the line of St. John's, and that's what's brought about their 2 tries. Still going Hillcrest. Now over the halfway line. Unable to hold him up are St. John's. So numbers both sides. They come the near side. The inside ball. He's very prominent. The prop of Hillcrest. I think he's actually the captain. The number 3, Dylan.
I think there's a little bit of an element there of a fly-off being born in a prop's body. He does have a good skill set. Can show and go, can run well. He kicks for touch. But just throwing an unnecessary pass there, and it's a good little pop up there from Ockett Swan to one of his forward runners, and slightly isolated, and it's a slow ball for St. John's, but they still keep their hands on the ball, and a good side step and go, and the centre from is away, and unfortunately he just trips over his own feet, and very, very guilty of holding the ball on there, but it did look promising from that number 13, Kawadze. But Hillcrest on the run again, a quick tap, and here's this runner again. The number 13 of Hillcrest is dangerous, but it's a great tackle there from Lovell to stop him in the end, and penalty to Hillcrest for entry in the ruck.
Well, both teams there just a little bit guilty of not offloading the ball, and we've spoken about it all week. Everyone wants to do the glory stuff, but he had the man on the outside steaming up his wing, and didn't pass to him. There's another look. There was his man. All he had to do was just offload, and he was gone in the corner. So that's really poor decision making from St. John's. The counter then from Hillcrest off the penalty did the same thing. They broke all the way through, and just not wanting to pass the ball, and caused the break in play.
Are a little bit lucky to get the penalty there, and there's that jumper we've spoken about, and the referee Pisani, another free kick for closing the gap at the line out. It's just a basic area. It's your ball. Why do you want to close your own gap? Hopefully St. John's don't make a hash of it. You don't have to tap the ball, but you can't kick it out on the full outside your 22, so he probably learned his lesson from the first attempt, and you'll try and find a good touch here, and it's quite a solid kick there from the St. John's wing, and it's taken play all the way up to the halfway line, and I think that was a good net gain for St. John's College.
It was a good clearance, and it takes a lot of pressure off your team when the clearances are better. And it will be a throw in to Hillcrest. And referee allowing that to play on, but you're not really allowed to dummy throw from the line out. Play on, says the ref. Now the big number 5, he's been instrumental in the lineouts. His first chance to run with the ball, and it's stolen by St. John's College.
So there was a big collision there between the two St. John's players, unfortunately, and there's a St. John's guy down, but definitely do feel that both of these teams are making their own mistakes, and they've only got themselves to blame for some of the positions that they are in. but they have been the more dangerous side, Dirk, when they've had ball in hand, and we can see people are still coming in to this ground. Some exciting. On Kwese iFlix or on the Dairibord YouTube. Yeah. Ball in hand.
The game. Some make opportunity to score on the near side. Go again, John, and bringing in their on the near side numbers. They decide to boot to the line. Some really good, and that's good defense from St. John's. And Ivan wants to get over the ball. They have one back, so that's good. It's maybe a little bit too early, and looks like it's. Is it? Into touch, says the referee. So no try. I thought he had got over the line. Dumi Sakala.
Yeah, you did call it. Edwards, the big number 6, just offloading slightly too early, and Dumi Sakala did have a lot of work to do. And credits to the Hillcrest defence there. They didn't falter at all, and they managed to make the try-saving tackle. But Dirk, this is an interesting tactic. I've spoken about it. Hillcrest walking into the line out like. How much do you think that's putting off the St. John's jumpers? It is one in the end, but it looked a little bit messy, and it doesn't look like they have very many jumping options, does the Hillcrest side. They set up a ruck and they've put it deeper back in the pocket, and Fly off trying to kick the ball down the field, but he's kicked it straight down Lovell's throat, who throws a big pass out to Spagnuolo, who had to jump up and down a little bit, but it's a slight handling error there. Referee a knock on by Hillcrest, and we'll thank their lucky.
Yeah, that walking into the line out, Hillcrest. The ones there just a little bit poor. Their hands and put themselves. They have the put into the scrum almost on the Hillcrest 22, between the 22. It impressed me too much with line running. Much as Hillcrest really hit the ball at pace. A chance again for them to run with the better from St. John's. They find the man on the outside, manages to knock it backward, and again some mistakes from St. John's.
Yeah, unfortunately there was a bit of a horrible pass by Karamazondo to Spagnuolo, and caught in awkward position. Referee deemed it as accidental offsides and is given the screen. But you are right, they haven't looked as potent as St. John's. If they don't put a on the board, and go, but good defense by St. John's, and Hillcrest looking at attacking in. Great hands, good pickup from the fly off of Hillcrest, but again basic handling errors there, and it's turning possession over unnecessarily.
Well, I think in the endeavour to take a quick tap and catch the opposition napping, it brings about the opportunity of mistakes. And that's what's happened there. A mistake from both teams, and we've seen a couple of them. St. John's a couple of phases before, and on that occasion, Hillcrest.
Yeah, St. John's having it all their own way after talking them up about in these scrums, and they just want to try and get some go forward ball, get on the front foot, and potentially Swan would like to give his backline an opportunity to run the ball, but it's come out to the centre, and Spagnola to level with a bit of space up the outside there. Unfortunately, his foot just dragging across the whitewash, and referee Pisani there calling it half time. It is 12 points to 5 here, or 12 points to 3 rather, at the Dairibord Schools Rugby Festival. And I definitely think St. John's have got all to do in the second half if they want to try and win this game. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back here to the second half of the St. John's College versus Hillcrest encounter. Hillcrest lead 12 points to 3. They have looked the more dominant on attack, and we await for the kicker here of Hillcrest to get the game underway. It's just Dirk, what do you think the chat was at half-time for both sets of coaches?
Well, I'd like to think that the chat from Hillcrest is don't change a thing. I think they've dominated this game. St. John's have got all the work to do. And if they can just work on their basics, Hillcrest, which have sometimes been a little bit wanting, both teams to be honest, they'll totally control this game.
Go forward ball there for Cole Honorati, who goes on a rampaging run. He's got his team on the front foot. There is a little switch inside there, but good defense from Hillcrest, not giving up, but never say die attitude of St. John's. Good leg drive and good pass there out to Okatswan again. That man, Cole Honorati, not shy of doing his work with ball in hand. And St. John's look like they've definitely looked more structured in the second half than they did in the first half.
Well, Key, maybe that's what was the chat from the coaching staff. Hold on to the ball for a bit. Frustrated Hillcrest. They'll give away penalties. Make sure the support runners are there like that. That's good work from St. John's as they over the 10-yard line of Hillcrest. Hold on to the ball. Force Hillcrest to make the play. And there's the little mistake. It's good pressure from Hillcrest. But they've still got the ball to St. John's.
Referee Pisani there, adjudicating hands on the ruck, and Hillcrest back on this quick tap and go, and keep catching the St. John's defence a little bit unawares. They're just outside the St. John's 22. Ball slow out of that ruck, and the scrum half not getting as quick a ball as he'd like, but he sends it down the back line, and on the run again. Once again, great defence by St. John's, and they just need to show a little bit more line speed. And they are driving this Hillcrest side back. If they can get their hands back on the ball, they'll be grateful. And it's a great penalty win there. Referee Pisani adjudicating, holding on, and St. John's just calming things down slightly. Give it to the man Lovell to kick. The left boot of Swan. He hasn't had the greatest kicks this game, so hopefully he can do the basics right here and get the ball into touch.
Yeah, it's a good kick from him. So he'll take play to the halfway line. It will be a St. John's put into the ball. They've struggled with their lineouts as well because of the interruption from the big number 4, Vuza of Hillcrest. And they've just got to be aware of that. It's an opportunity if they can. They had elements there of showing good structure, did St. John's, and then a little poor pass on the near side to the back line just broke their momentum, handed play back to Hillcrest, but a little bit more of that and the opportunities will come for them.
Yeah, they haven't had it all their own way in these lineouts, and maybe Mark Wilson and Kestel Gertenbach told him to throw it over that man's head, but it's another shocking throw from Dumi Sakala, and it's given the ball back to Hillcrest, who are on the rampage once again. And getting the scrum half, digging for the ball, sends it out. A good inside ball there from the number 10, Mativu. And St. John's trying to hold this player up, but working hard, fighting well to get his knees to the ground, creating the tackle. Hillcrest got to attack once more time. They are now making forward momentum into the St. John's 22, but it's a cracking steal there from Dumi Sakala to win the ball back for St. John's, and they're getting a little bit of a kick out there, leaves some pressure, but great feet and speed shown by Shakede from Hillcrest. Lively little runner and lively wing, but referee Pisani there is just calling play back. A bit of an injury there to one of the St. John's boys.
Well, it looks like their number 10, Swan, took a hit on the back of the head. So it will be a scrum down to Hillcrest.
Interesting to see key players like Harvey not playing in this match. He got a bit injured in the last game. but it gives opportunity to Milton Manyangara, who, out of the two number 9s, Dirk, I think he's probably been the better one.
Well, it looks like they've swapped it up a couple of times, St. John's. I've seen the number 13 put the ball into the scrum, and they've got some work to do on that back line, do St. John's. It looks like they've got some real good athletes there, but they've been really poor on the front foot. Pick up and go again from their number 8. They've used that a couple of times. Now they've got some numbers on the far side, still going into the 22 of St. John's.
Patience here, Hillcrest. But I did mention it earlier, this number 9 from Hillcrest, he's very quick on the penalty tap. When it's ruck time, he does take a bit of time to get the ball out to any of his runners, but it's a penalty in front of the sticks. Interesting to see what the captain of Hillcrest chooses, and it looks like he's asking the referee if he can have a shot at goal and probably take this out to a 15 points to 3 lead. Ill discipline here from St. John's, giving Hillcrest an opportunity to get some points back on the board, and the kicker there, Ablant, lining up this kick. We have seen some shockers miss this festival so far. Hopefully he can put it through the centre dot and take the team out to a 15 points to 3 lead, which he does so. Good kick, good strike. It's clinical. Win the penalty in the 22, take the points, build scoreboard pressure, make St. John's do even more work.
Well, it just, like you said, it makes the job more and more difficult. They haven't really been in the half of Hillcrest, have St. John's. Just another look at that kick, and easy as you like, straight through the middle. It's a good hanging kick, but it's probably a little bit deep. It allows Hillcrest to run back at them. It's good leg drive as well. Good work from the forwards, still going.
Mamini showing some good strength there to get all the way up the field, and unfortunately a little handling error there, knocking the ball on, giving the ball back to St. John's. They are just inside the Hillcrest half, and I don't expect any miracles from the St. John's backline. If they are going to score some tries today, I think it'll come through the big boys from numbers 1 to 8.
Yeah, I do like their 12 and 13. They look like exciting runners, but every time they get the ball, they've been isolated. And I'm not so sure if that's because the ball from the scrum is slow, or the passing's a bit poor from St. John's. Unlike what we've seen from Hillcrest, really hitting the ball with some serious line speed and go forward ball. We haven't seen it from St. John's in this game.
Dominant scrum there from St. John's, getting the ball out there to Spagnolo, giving it to Kawadza, who ships it out to Jericho. He hasn't actually touched the ball this game, the first time we mentioned him. And Swan lining up again. It just looks like he's very, very laboured in position and distribution, Dirk, and I think that's been the difference between the two sides.
Yeah, he has been a little bit slow. It's good work from the forwards. You said it, they'd have a chance if they kept it amongst the forwards. There's a penalty advantage. Play on, says the referee, as they try go wide. They've got a couple of numbers on the far side, still going, St. John's. And they've got another opportunity. I would like to think advantage would be over now, into the 22 of St. John's.
There's Derek Smith again, putting in the hard yards, but advantage over, not over, sorry, rather. Penalty to St. John's, and Manyangara take a quick tap to Swan, to Katsinyayike. Good hands there by Hasim to reel that ball back in, but he has a big flank run from Karamazondo, and great tackle there from Hillcrest to push him into touch, but Pazani has brought them back for another penalty. And would you go for the 3 points? Would you go for the scrum? Would you go for the line? What would you do here, Dirk?
Well, there's still a lot of time, tap and go, but it's slow from St. John's. There's a big run from the forward. Can he get over? And looks like he is short. The referee's going to give a penalty for holding on. And it's going to be a turnover to Hillcrest, but it all just seems too slow. Even that penalty there, you took a quick tap, but no one's in a hurry to rush and go and take that quick tap. So all of it just a little bit too slow from St. John's.
A little bit hard done by there, I'd say, for St. John's. Looked like that ball he was over the line, and he got deemed to be holding the ball on. But again, basic errors here from Hillcrest, not doing what they needed to do. They kicked the ball, hasn't gone out, given the ball back to St. John's, and somehow Hillcrest have won that ball, and it is slightly illegal. Referee Pisani there, hands on the ruck, and Hillcrest will be kicking themselves for not clearing their lines there. But St. John's will probably look to put this ball into the corner, set up that driving maul again, and try and score a try through the forwards.
It's a good kick from Swan, and probably 10 meters short of the Hillcrest try line, so they have another chance to remedy some of their mistakes, but they just need a little bit more energy in what they're doing. It's all too slow for me from St. John's.
Okay, she missed it there. Daniel Abson coming on to the field, a replacement for St. John's in the forwards. Big boy, adding a bit more weight to the pack maybe. Tumi Sakala has been poor with his line-out throws, and St. John's will try to go for the easiest option possible. Front of the line-out, there's that man Abson who's just come on, and again, Sakala has missed his jumper, and it's given the ball back to Hillcrest, who have looked full of running today, and good hands there from Hillcrest, passing the ball down the line there. Good show and go from the number 10, Mativu. And he's taken play up to the 10-meter line. And once again, pace here from Hillcrest. From the first try scorer there, the man who has got the number 6 on his back, Kagundu, and he scored a fantastic individual try there. What a try for Hillcrest, and St. John's had a line out on their 5-meter line of Hillcrest, missed the jumper, and they have run the whole length of the field as Hillcrest here and scored a very, very wonderful try. It's taken the score out to 20 points to 3, and doesn't look like St. John's are very confident when they got ball in hand.
You thought that maybe they'd bundle it, the fly half, their number 10, holding on to the ball, but they were able to recycle it, and the St. John's defence were all over the show. It was straight up the middle, and this should be a 7-pointer for Hillcrest, and I can't really see them coming back from this. This was that run again. They held on to the ball, but the recycle was good. Have a look at the massive amounts of space in the middle. There it was, and he didn't need a second invitation to take it. He was the guy who scored the try in the first half, the first try in the corner, and he's gone all the way again.
Poor tackle there as well from Dominic Watson. It just fell off of it. But it was a good restart claim there from Hillcrest, and once again they got ball in hand. Silly mistake there, losing ball in the contest, and St. John's back on the ball. Good ball from Kanyangara, and there's the big man, Derek Smith. He hasn't been shy to take it into contact, but there's Akkad Swan putting it in behind the defence, maybe a little bit too far there. Unlucky not to get the bounce of the ball, and I don't know really what he was trying to do there, because he wasn't really chasers trying to go after that ball.
Well, he was running out of a little space. It'll be a 22 dropout, the ball going over the dead ball line. But probably guilty St. John's of some lateral running, and that's why they had that problem. The referee is going to call them back for a knock-on.
Got saved there a little bit by the AR, but in the end the right call was made, and it's something you spoke about in the last game about why Lomagundi didn't do that. Hillcrest aware that St. John's weren't in position, and they nearly exploited it, nearly came off. There's a scrum here to St. John's, to Hillcrest, just inside their 22, and I do not foresee this being put onto the boot at all. We've seen them score a 100-meter try once. Are they going to try to do it again?
Well, if you just have a look at the difference of this Hillcrest side when they run it through their back line, they hit the ball at pace, and St. John's have just been unable to do it. Don't write off a little pick up from the back from the number 8 blind side. Exactly that. They got some numbers, and there's the little knock on. The referee, well, it's gone into touch, and they've kind of called him back for, I'm not so sure. Is it a knock on or is it a line out?
The new law states if it gets knocked into touch, you get the option of the line or the scrum. Don't have to ask the captain all the time. The player took it on himself to take the quick line out, so not too sure on that decision, but line out nonetheless to St. John's, and Dumi Sakala would take some confidence if he hits a jumper for once.
That's a good line out from St. John's. I take play to the 22. I haven't been able to penetrate this back line because their back runners have been poor. Again, laboured. And I still haven't crossed that 22 of St. John's. That's better. Someone really attacking that gain line.
It definitely has been the men with numbers 1 to 8 on the back who have been taking it to the defence of Hillcrest, and St. John's backline just sitting far too deep and getting slow with ball hand. But the Ockett Swan, a little show and go, getting through a little half gap, but a bit isolated there, and advantage to St. John's College. There's the big man Kirk Edwards on the storming rampage, and looks like a little bit better phase of play for St. John's College. Abson getting it to his locking partner, off to Jake Smith, who gets absolutely smashed back in defence there. And Milton Manyangara, bit of a poor pass, but the referee here is just calling the medics on there. Looks like it could be a concussion there, but better attacking play there, Dirk.
Well, I think the only real positive there was that they kept ball in hand. Whether they were going over the advantage line, I'm not so sure. Again, it just looks slow from St. John's. They need someone with a little bit of impetus there, and they're not getting it.
Referee Pisani was playing advantage before that to stop and play, but are they coming back for a penalty, or was it just a knock-on advantage? We'll have to wait and see. And I don't think there's too much time left in this game. It is 22 points to 3 in favour of Hillcrest, and I can guarantee you, if it carries on going this way and Hillcrest keeps scoring more points, the crowd is going to go absolutely berserk come the final whistle. But scrum here for St. John's, just inside the 22 of Hillcrest, and I'd like to think that they want to try and score at least one try just to save some face here. Great scrum there, and Ndoro picks it up from the back, and Swan catch and pass, and this move is just far too slow, too deep, and Hillcrest have applied some pressure there, and Pisani just adjudicating there was another knock-on, but unfortunately we spoke about it time and time again, earn the right to do these moves, and if you're going to do these moves, you can't do them 20 metres behind the gain line.
Yeah, I sort of feel sorry for the forwards of St. John's. They've worked really hard, and that's probably the one area they've kept them in the game, is with their forwards. The back line have really struggled, St. John's, both on attack and defence. And we've seen a lot of substitutions in the forward pack of St. John's, not so much in the back line.
Well, I think it goes back to your point that the forwards have been putting in the hard yard and the effort, and they are getting tired. The back line, it looks so laboured, but I don't think they're that tired yet. But referee just resetting the scrum. Not happy with the steadiness and the stableness of the two forward packs. Manyangara feeding the scrum here. Wouldn't put it past Ndoro to try and have a pick and go. But somehow it's squirted out the side of the scrum, and the flanker, Karamazondo, has hand on ball. Ball out to Swan. Swan, Kawadza, he's dangerous. Watson, ball in hand. All he had to do was try and draw and pass there, but hold on to the ball. Maniangara again to Swan, and Swan to Karamazondo. Strong young lad, taking play just outside the try line of Hillcrest, but a poor handling error there from Swan, who shakes his head in disgust and is blaming Maniangara for that pass. However, it was in his hands, it wasn't his feet like he was gesticulating. I think this has been the story of the day for this young man. He hasn't had the greatest game.
Yeah, and unfortunately for him, he's playing a critical position, so hasn't worked for him. More substitutions for St. John's, but yeah, this game is dead and buried. Hillcrest, and you know what? I don't think it's fair to say it's an upset. The only upset reason would be is that Hillcrest don't play in the Super 8 lineup, but they've definitely been the better side today by far.
Definitely, they are deserved leaders and potentially deserved winners. Good read there from Dominic Watson, who throws a specky into back into infield. And it's just gifted possession right back to Hillcrest, who have relished every single opportunity they've had with hand on ball.
Well, still going Hillcrest. I think they fancy one more score. That looks like an illegal steal. Yeah, most definitely.
Good little play there from the St. John's scrum half, slowing the ball down slightly because we know how dangerous this number 9 from Hillcrest has been. Caetano, he's been lively with ball in hand. He's looked to quick tap at every opportunity he has, and it's a good line out. Game there. Put the ball into touch just inside the 10-meter line of St. John's College. One last attacking movement here from the forwards. And going back to your point earlier, Dirk, I definitely feel that Hillcrest have wanted this game a heck of a lot more than what St. John's have.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's been exactly that. It's the team that's wanted it more. And there's that little mistake.
I think this Hillcrest display and outfit has been somewhat improved by the introduction of Ntsikelelo Sibanda, the director of Zimbabwe Rugby. He's added his wealth of knowledge. He is an experienced coach, and his experience is definitely coming through in this Hillcrest side. St. John's not getting the distance they potentially wanted off that kick, but they get the line out. And after having 2 great throws in the first 2 lineouts of the game, Tumi Sakala has looked a bit off colour at this facet of the game.
Yeah, the lineouts haven't been good from St. John's. Again, missing their jumper. There goes their captain. He's big and strong. Still going, Hillcrest. There's the loose ball. And St. John's managed to turn it over. But, there's the mistake. So it will be Hillcrest ball. And I'd like to think that these are the final rights. Oh, what's happened there? Quick line out. St. John's expected the scrum from the knock-on. It went into touch. It took the quick